Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the so-called show. I am J.R. Schwab, allegedly. I'd like to welcome you to tonight's program. We got a good one for you, allegedly. But, to kick it off, I'd like to introduce my cohorts. You already know them. They go by so-called Leak and so-called Black Mo. So-called Kurt to God behind it all. Tonight's the playoff edition. Oh, Kurt, there we go. We got some new tools to play with.
But he is a real person, all right?
He's not just somebody that we use a voiceover for. We add somebody, what was it, ventriloquist? They do the voice while somebody's doing another voice.
Well, Kurt could have been imaginary. That's very true.
Kurt could have been a robot on a computer, for all we know.
But now we got Kurt hooked up to the camera. So he can blow V8, in his own personal space, and get his off when necessary. Yo, I hope y'all excited, man. I'm pumped right now. I've been waiting all week for
Black
this.
Mo was vibrating over here to my left because he's juiced for these playoffs. We got the off edition tonight.
Hey.
And allegedly, I think Leak said we were going to start with the East tonight. Are we going to dig right into this East? Who do you want to start with in the East? Well, should we go with number one and number two? Because it seems like instead of it being the Cleveland Cavaliers that we thought might be the cream of the crop in the East.
Well, let's if I may, Schwab, let's address those who thought that Cleveland was going to win the East at the beginning of the season, because I know there's some viewers watching No Hesi right now. Hua. Carter, even my own brother, Marcus. They are ride or die for the LeBron James, the Cleveland LeBron Jameses. So let's address those people and start with Cleveland and where they're looking like they're going to end up. What do you think, Schwab?
So-called Jameses?
So-called LeBron James.
Right now, Cleveland's sitting in the 4th spot, right behind the upstart Philadelphia 76ers. But we'll get to that. Trust the process.
Well, I feel like the people all know my narrative.
What's that, Black?
You know what? You said you wanted to blow VA. Why don't you just start it off? Go right ahead.
Well, going into that, Cleveland and Philly just had a game last night, or was it 2 nights ago?
2 nights ago.
That was very important because it was kind of going to solidify the seeding, or at least determine where those two teams are going to be at. Because that was probably Philly's toughest game out of their last 6 games.
I'm going to stop this right now.
Okay.
Schwab executive decision. We're talking about Philly first, because I think Philly in a 50-win season, after the years they've had and having to wait this whole entire time, might be a bigger story than LeBron James's career year that we all agreed upon.
Marcus, I'm gonna let you breathe for a second. You too, Hua.
But go in on Philly right now.
Well, I just want to first off start by saying I picked Ben Simmons to win Rookie of the Year, which was something that some people align with that, some people scoffed at that. He is a redshirt freshman, but at the same time, nobody expected this kid to come out the gates looking like this. I don't care how many years he's been sitting out. For him to come into the league and look as dominant as he's looked up until this point, I think that's something that we need to credit him for.
Absolutely.
This has been a great rookie class, but he has been the standout, 12 triple-doubles deep, and now he has, in part, he has, his hand in making the Sixers a playoff team, not only a playoff team, 3rd seed.
Well, he's literally facilitated it.
I was going to say, in this day and age, in the new NBA, the 3-point shooting and the gaudy numbers, guys going 3 for 10.
You mean the Steph NBA?
Exactly, the chef NBA. Ben Simmons has taken 11 3-pointers all year and is still almost averaging a triple-double. I think he's averaging 16, 8, and 8 right now, or 16, 9, and 8 or something like that. Leak, you have the laptop. We can look that up real quick.
Something around there.
But, it's incredible that this man's able to – we talked about, I think, beginning of the year when we were talking about Lonzo Ball. his passing skills. I was even one to say he's up there to me in top 3 with Chris Paul and I said LeBron James.
He has an elite level vision.
Elite level vision. Ben Simmons is pretty much up there right now, I think, from what I've seen this rookie year.
He's a better passer than Lonzo.
Well, I was gonna say, me and Leak have had convos, and I always throw his name in that hat as well. Not taking anything away from Lonzo.
Yeah.
I think
I
you have
also
to break
feel
it
like
down.
Lonzo's in that convo.
I think you have to break it down, passer and vision, because I think Lonzo
They are
might
two
have better
different things.
vision,
Yeah.
whereas Ben Simmons is a better passer. I think Ben
Well, they
Simmons,
both see steps ahead. Though,
Well, the thing is, Ben Simmons is much more confident than
I
Lonzo
think
Ball is
Ben
right
Simmons
now.
will make the right
So-
play right now.
Well,
as a
see
rookie,
that right
more
there is where
often than not.
is where I disagree. I feel like Lonzo's making the right play. Ben Simmons is able to see plays that are not necessarily there and make them happen. And Lonzo will
that's
get
all
there.
that's all due to confidence.
To confidence. He's willing to take
I
those
mean, you
risks.
saw that under the leg pass to JJ Redick the other day.
Right.
But it might also help with the squad he's got, or just overall better players.
Well, I
than
think
what
Ben
are
Simmons
the
will be
Lakers.
doing the same thing.
But I digress.
He'd be playing a similar style if he played for the Lakers as well. He'd be moving the ball and getting everybody else involved.
I also think though, and we're gonna get into the other factors of the team because I mean we're not gonna act like Joel Embiid isn't the best player on the squad, and we're not gonna act like JJ Redick hasn't also brought a veteran presence that makes them play better as well.
Absolutely.
And shout out to Covington as
I was
well.
gonna say, but right there, you get your first G League player to really
Yeah.
be a solid piece on a core young upstart team.
Well, I'll say this last thing about Ben Simmons. I mean, let's say him and Lonzo have the same vision and passing ability. Ben Simmons is almost 7 feet, and he weighs over 200 pounds. So he's physically more capable of getting into the lane, and he doesn't have to rely on jump shooting, whereas Lonzo is a little bit smaller in frame, so he almost needs more finesse work, which will require him to develop a better jump shot. But we're not gonna get into. We're
nitpicking right now. It's a playoff episode. We're not bringing up teams that aren't in the playoffs
Going to
tonight.
Lonzo's off season, we could be here all night. All right.
we had to get our ball fixed for this episode. So.
Shout out to Philly though. I mean,
Shout out to the big.
So
ballers.
let's talk about this then. Philly's in the 3 spot right now. They're 50 and 30. Cleveland's in the 4 spot, 49 and 31. We got 2 games left for each. Do you have schedules? Anybody have schedules?
Yeah, Cleveland's got New York twice, so they should take
Really?
both, yeah. They should take
Okay,
both
so
wins.
Cleveland's pretty much going to go 51 and 31. New York twice. That's a weird way to end the schedule.
although New York just
Philly has the Hawks and the Bucks.
Okay.
So really, both these games look like 2 wins for these squads.
Well, I don't know.
The
I can't
Bucks
say
are
the
that's
Bucks
a
are
tough.
short
That's
win.
But
a
here's
tough
the thing.
game.
Well, I guess the Bucks could advance up between the 6th and the 8th spot. So it's a matter of do they want to play the Celtics, the Raptors, or the Sixers or the Cavs, allegedly. One of the two.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, as a whole,
Are the Bucks really making choices right now about who they're going to play? Are they really thinking we need to lose this game or win this game to play somebody?
I don't think so. Kurt, the guy, you got an opinion on no?
we were looking for an excuse to use our new tool.
Yeah, or Kurt, just show us your face real quick.
There we go.
I mean, honestly, yeah, the Bucks are underachieving, but I don't think anybody wants to see the Bucks at any point in the season because on any given night, you're gonna have to deal with Giannis Antetokounmpo, who had. I mean, we could say this is a breakout season for him, right? Even though his trajectory has been in where he's at. I feel like where he's at is somewhere that no one else wants to go outside of like maybe Bron. And maybe Ben Simmons, you know what I mean?
Ben will take on that challenge.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
He'll take on that challenge, and he's got the coaching and the role players who all understand their role to back him up in that.
Yeah.
Especially with Joel Embiid coming back. I think nobody really wants to play the Miami Heat, the meat, as they like to say on BX. I don't think anybody wants the meat.
Shout out to BX.
Or Pat Riley's meat.
Yeah.
All right.
So I thought we should bring up that section of the standings right now. I feel like the Heat are in a 3-way tie or a 2-way tie, excuse me, for the
That
6th
menage
spot.
a trois, if you will.
Yeah, Washington's a game behind them
The
right
meat
now.
and the buck.
So the 6 through 8 seeds could really go any way right now.
Yes.
Who do you think, you brought up the meat, who do you think is the meat's best overall matchup, who they want to play? Not necessarily like who they would, obviously they would love to go against the Cavaliers, or the Jameses.
I think they would want Philadelphia, just because of the lack of experience, and they have a big man who can basically bump and grind with Joel Embiid.
He wants that challenge.
He wants
as well.
that. I think the discipline of the Miami Heat and the experience and the tough culture. I think they would see.
They're pretty deep.
I think they would see blood in the water with Philly more than Boston and Cleveland.
Honestly, though, if I was a team in the playoffs right now, and now we're like nitpicking right now on like standings and all that. But if I was a team, I would want to see the Celtics first, solely because you can't name me 5 guys right now on that squad that mean a difference in the playoffs, and I dare you to try. Okay, you got Kyrie out for the rest of the playoffs. You got
Gordon Hayward
out. He's been out the whole season. I don't know if Tice is back just yet. I mean, you're pretty much relying on Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart's out.
He's almost back. Pray to God.
Sage G-Pieces said Boston without Kyrie, that's the easiest to get past.
Exactly.
The Heat, I think, would tear them up.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what. Yeah, if I'm a young team and this is like my first time being in the playoffs for a minute, I'm going at the Celtics because I don't. I mean, shout out to Brad Stevens. He did an incredible job through an injury-filled year. But I mean, the fact that they're number one, that's as Shaq likes to say, that's barbecue chicken.
Real quick. That commenter was on our last episode. It's actually, I figured out who it was. Sega Jeepesis. Jeep.
Sega Jeepesis.
Shout out Glenn.
Hey.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. We're not sure. I think that's what it is, though. But shout that out, yeah.
Yo, shout out to Glenn.
I know he's on his PS4 watching us right now.
I think he's correct about that. The interesting thing about Boston is they are a selfless team, and they do play defense very disciplined, very well. The only knock is that they'll be relying on completely unproven guys to carry scoring loads, which is when it's the hardest score in the playoffs.
This is where I think you're half right and half wrong with your name 5 guys that not carry them to the playoffs but give them production. I still think Marcus Morris has been there before. He'll give you something.
Yeah.
They've been going through him lately. Al Horford's been in the playoffs plenty of times. He'll give you something. Terry Rozier's played in big games before in college, and then he's seemed to having a good year now. Marcus Smart is going to be coming back at some point during the first round.
When does a team like that ever win a chip?
I'm just saying. We're
Well,
not
they're
talking
not
about
gonna
chip
win a
right
chip.
now. We're talking about first round. So if we're really talking about, like I said, Miami,
Do you think
Milwaukee, or
do
Washington.
you think that team could get out of the first round?
I think they could beat
Honestly.
Milwaukee. I think they could
easily
beat Milwaukee.
See-
and they can
now I
easily
feel
beat
like-
a Washington team in flux. Let's get on to Washington right now.
Okay, because
Let's move it along.
I was going to go in
'Cause
on
we were
y'all
gonna say-
sleeping on the Bucks. Really, I feel like honestly,
You were just hating on the Bucks earlier, or was it you that were hating on the Bucks?
Well,
Oh no, you said it. You said all they really have is Giannis right now.
no, I did not say that. The Bucks
Outside.
The Bucks are underachieving, is what I said.
yeah, and their coaching is suspect at this
Okay,
point.
just
Yeah, they
because
got rid of
you
Jason
think
Kidd.
they're so-called underachieving, which they might be, but at the same time, what do they really have besides Giannis?
I mean, they got Eric Bledsoe. I mean, he's
Have you heard anything from him since he's been traded there? He had
Well,
a couple
hey,
good games.
Well, he's
they're
been-
underachieving,
yeah.
Schwab.
He's been playing his role. I mean,
Now we also haven't seen E. Bled in the playoffs either,
no,
so we don't know
We
what
never
that
have.
pressure looks like.
We
okay?
never have.
And honestly, on any given night, I mean, I'm going with Giannis on his matchup most of the time. All right, so I just feel like let's give them some respect. They could possibly make it out of this first round if they go against the correct team.
Absolutely. I feel like Boston is too well coached, and their movement on defense is very string like.
Yeah,
They're constantly making up for each other. I don't feel like over a course of 7 games, I don't think that whoever that man in a suit is, that's calling plays for Milwaukee, I don't think he's got what it takes.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know who it is. I have no clue.
I
but
know.
He's literally a walking, talking suit at this.
Absolutely.
Hold on, give me a second. It's No. Stop. I got this.
I want to know. Okay. Wow.
Mike, it's my. What is it? I didn't know it. I knew it. I remember it now that I've seen it.
Yeah.
He was an assistant coach
look,
for
wait,
years.
before- hey,
He's
Leak,
been
before-
around the block.
before
Joe
you-
Prunty is his name, but
Joe Punty.
I was gonna say
Joe
before y'all
Prunty.
name that, I wanted to see if the
So-called-
No Hesi community had.
there's no
any
way.
clue.
Yeah.
Any
So
clue.
this guy right here, who's leading them to war,
The suit.
you know, I don't have faith in him,
This is the Jason Kidd effect.
and I don't have faith that Giannis can transcend a coach at this point in his career in a 7-game series against Brad Stevens and what they've been building over there.
I guess I just because my theory is once you get to the playoffs, you need a hero. Now, as much as we want to say hero ball is dead, you need a hero in the playoffs.
Well,
And the question now then becomes whether or not Giannis is a substantial hero or hero enough, if you will, or does he need more pieces? I mean, he's got Middleton. Okay, he's got
How much help does Giannis need?
you got
Jabari
Eric
Parker's
Bledsoe.
back.
He's
Jabari
got
Parker's
Jabari
back.
Parker back, who looks like he has a little bit of spring in his step.
See, to me, he hasn't looked good. I
He's still
actually
trying to
was.
get in shape.
But see, I actually liked him coming out of Duke back then. That was
Oh,
before.
did you?
That was before the Black Mo narrative curse had hit my
Oh, you
feeble
did.
brain
You liked Jabari Parker.
back then.
Jabari's been shooting 37 from 3.
What are you getting at right now?
Oh, I'm just
Listen,
feeding my narrative.
Allegedly, Black Mo has this so-called narrative.
I'm
that
just
he's-
feeding my narrative.
Jabari's
That's all.
averaging 16 and 5 and shooting 37% from 3. So he's not playing bad at all, and especially coming back. Well, there's none of that squad. He's coming back. He's coming off of injury.
He's trying to get back in shape.
He's
Schwab.
actually looking pretty good right now, and I would say this is that's
How many
a
games is this?
29 games. I would say that's a very good like mid-level
You
base
got
for
your
him.
numbers all wrong. He's only 12 points a game.
I did say 12, right? I said 12
No,
and
he
5.
said 16.
Okay, yeah, 12 and 5. 12 and 5.
Look
on
at Leak
37%.
trying to steer.
And then, you
this
know what?
narrative.
He's giving him a little extra. It's actually a 4.7, so I would count that closer to 4.5.
Look at Leak
We're
trying to
getting
steer
we're
this
getting we're
narrative.
getting into this Chris Paul territory that we had back in the day with the 24 points a game.
No,
Be clear days.
listen-
I remember that argument.
Yeah, you know how I do it. If you're over 0.5, then I'm gonna give you that nod. You've earned that.
Here's my question though, y'all. Not to completely hijack this thing, but getting back into Washington, I mean, most likely they look like they're gonna play the Celtics, correct?
It
Well, they're in
depends.
the
They're in the
8th
A
seed
seed
right
right
now, so
now.
they're
If the
Toronto.
playoffs started today, they'd be playing Celtics, correct?
No,
they're
Toronto.
playing Toronto. They're in the
Toronto
AFC, yeah.
took the number one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take that
Oh,
back.
Toronto's been number one for a while. At least the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, see, hey, look, hey, that shows you how much I care about that team, right?
Or wait, is this still the Eastern Conference?
Well, Toronto has no chance of winning the East. All right.
Toronto is not. Sorry if you guys are just now tuning in. Toronto is not winning a championship this year, and I'm gonna go ahead and give you that right now.
And it's not because of talent or coaching. They've actually got both.
And they've gotten better
down
even.
packed. They've gotten better. The role players have progressed. The thing
Shout
about
out to
Toronto
Van Vliet,
is they're led by DeMar DeRozan. That's the issue.
and then Kyle Lowry is his second mate.
Man, so much hate for DeMar DeRozan.
Well, I never. There's nothing I've said established that I hate the man. I'm saying they're led by him, and that's a problem.
Listen, DeMar DeRozan is quaking in his
okay,
boots.
time out.
Listen, DeMar DeRozan is quaking in his boots anytime number 23 from Cleveland comes into
Let's
his
be very
arena.
clear.
Okay,
Let's be
listen, clear.
When LeBron said, "All right, well, if I come into your game, if I come into your arena for a game 1, you know, it could be very challenging." He was specifically speaking about DeMar DeRozan.
I think the last game they had, the boy only had like 16 points.
So DeMar DeRozan,
Listen, that's not going to cut it if
DeMar
you're Toronto,
DeRozan
okay?
is under LeBron James's
Shoe?
oppressive hand. All right, DeMar DeRozan is Cap in that trailer for Avengers when he's trying to keep Thanos' hand from crushing him. That's DeMar and LeBron's relationship.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, all right.
Look, and then like I said, I mean, what evidence do we have that DeMar DeRozan or Kyle Lowry have the ability to turn it on in the playoffs? And I was having a talk with somebody the other night because I often talk about no Hesi with with people outside of this space. But I had a talk with somebody and I said, in order for Toronto to really truly be a threat, DeMar DeRozan would have to become Kobe Bryant, and that's not happening.
Listen, DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry have both been looking to each other to lead that team once the playoffs start. It's like, you lead them, well, you lead them, well, you lead us, well, you lead us. It's not a clear cut. I remember a conversation we had a while ago about the Clippers, how there has to be a number one guy. There has to be a guy which all the team says he's leading us into the promised land.
He's our guy.
DeMar DeRozan acts like he wants that, but once the playoff come, he relinquishes that responsibility.
Can I ask a question real quick? Who do y'all have winning the Eastern Conference?
The Cavs. I've been saying that for a few weeks now.
I've got the Cavs winning it as well.
I sensed some hesitation.
Well, Boston. I had Boston winning the East prior to that, but
we're not gonna get into the fact
had
that you had
Boston too.
Washington over Boston in the first episodes.
I did have that.
Can we get into Washington?
Yeah.
You were going on. Somehow it got derailed. I don't know. Keep going.
Yo, man. Hey, yo.
Well, they're 2 of 8 out of the last 10.
Listen, Washington.
Somehow we went from Washington to Toronto. Oh, I said Washington was going to play Toronto, and then you went off on a tangent.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, DeMar DeRozan's getting slandered over here like LeBron James's little
Schwab,
punk-ass brother.
You're going to have to follow me tonight, all right? No, but Washington, man, I mean, I hate to say I told you so, okay? But I mean, when John Wall is healthy, they seem like they just don't no one else knows what to do with the ball when they get it.
Wait, I got a new nickname, John Doe Wall.
Where is he? Who is he? Listen, John Wall wants to be Westbrook.
So-called John Wall.
Where is Wall? Doe?
John, where's Wall?
John Wall wants to be in the conversation with your Kyries, in the conversation with your Stephs, with your Dames, with your yes, I have Dame over John Wall.
Okay, real quick, hold on. Is that the 3 though? Are those the 3?
Russell Westbrook would be in that.
So
conversation.
the 4.
Yeah, John
As
Wall.
far as
Listen,
the
John
best
Wall's
point
not a
guards in the
top
NBA?
5 point guard. Let's be very clear about that.
Who's your 5th?
Who did I say?
You said Steph,
Russ,
Dame, Kyrie, Russ.
Dame, Kyrie, and CP. Hell, CP's still in the top 5. He should have been an All-Star this year. So John Wall still has a way to go. On top of that, he's a ball-dominant point guard who makes the pass assist
Allegedly.
and doesn't make the right assist, which is just passing the ball. So for that, I feel like they've kind of struggled since his comeback. Before that, though, they showed a slip in their play, but that was solely because they need a hero.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. So there's so much bashing, but I mean, John Wall is at least somewhat of a hero.
Look, his hero
Because
his heroism doesn't result in wins.
Let me find this stat. Stat guy's got to go to work. Real quick. How many games did they win with John Wall out?
Real quick, over in the chat, Sega Jeepus has said, yeah, Chris Paul for sure is still in the top 5.
Hey, absolutely. Shout out to Jeep, man.
Jeep, Jeep's sucking up right now. And we shouted him out. I might have to revoke that, Jeep.
No, but what are you looking at right
now? I got if you haven't seen me wins the Wizards had when John Wall was out.
I mean, I
so
think
who'd you have as your top point guards? You had Russell Westbrook,
Dame Lillard, Chris Paul, Steph Curry, and Kyrie Irving.
Okay, all right.
I mean, we have any objections?
No, that's good.
All right.
Good with me? Oh, wow. I'm on this Google page looking at this Wizards stat, and it happens to come top 5 point guards, and I'm really tempted to click on this list and see what it is.
Listen, Shaw, while you're doing that, if there's anybody out there watching this right now that wants to come at me, we could get it in.
So, hold on, real quick. This list starts with Kyrie Irving, Russell Westbrook, Damian Lillard, Stephen Curry. All good and well until you get there. I don't think this is correct. It might be just a misprint. But number 5 on this is Derrick Rose as your number 5 point guard.
Listen, maybe this must be like a nostalgic pick.
Yeah. Where's that from?
I don't know, but they got...
who does Derrick Rose play for?
Who he play for?
Wow.
allegedly the Minnesota Timberwolves.
TNT sent that lawsuit. Who he play for?
Hey, look, let's finish the Eastern Conference so we can go.
I think we talked about everybody already. All we haven't talked about is Boston and Toronto.
No, Schwab, we haven't gotten to the squad that you've been.
Let's hype up my squad. Okay, I just realized too, we can't have 5-win or 550-win teams in the East. Indiana Pacers have already played 81 games, so they can only get to 41 wins. But still,
well, 49.
Or excuse me, 49, not 41. 49 wins. So they're that's
Schwab,
their
why don't you go ahead and bloviate on Indiana real quick?
I'm not going to bloviate. I wanted to ask a question. Has Victor Oladipo solidified Most Improved Player of the Year award?
Absolutely, without question.
I would say so. I could.
Without question.
I'm good with that.
All right.
Yo, look, listen. He surprised me. I'll tell you that. Because after last year, I was thinking like, man, like, because when he came out of college, you know, like he looked very athletic. He looked like he could fit in the NBA and like, you know, make a transition. I mean, I don't know if it was just the teams and the systems he was playing in up until this point, but like looking at him last year, I was like, man, like I was honestly like, man, this guy is like, you know, like a Lance Stevenson almost.
Well,
right?
this team I feel like is the perfect, not I don't say perfect mix, but is a great mix of, it's like the Island of Lost Boys, all the cast-offs. It's all the guys that were not studs on other teams, but had some type of notoriety about them. And they've all kind of come together now. But I think Miles Turner might be the only homegrown talent they have, or guy they drafted.
They still got Young on the team. James Young. Or is it Joe Young?
No, no.
James Young?
They got rid of Joe Young.
I feel like
and James Young is the kid from Kentucky that played for Boston. They got kicked to the curb as a first round
no, they
pick.
still got Joe Young.
Is he still on the squad? I don't think he is.
Yeah, he's Victor Oladipo sub, right?
Absolutely. He takes the.
Wait. Did you guys see the new Paul George sub? Terrence Ferguson is that new Paul George Gatorade sub
in the commercial. Yeah, that is
Paul George had to extend that dom to the Australian world.
Yeah, Joe Young.
I just pissed off so many Australian people right now.
No,
my apologies to the country of Australia.
I think we need to
continent.
I think we need to also credit Nate McMillan for the job he's done.
Okay,
with the team, right?
Ultimate cast-off coach is what I'm going with. Nate McMillan has had so many jobs in the NBA, assistant jobs, the new associate head coach, coaching jobs.
Jailblazers, right?
He did have the Jailblazers. He had the Supersonics for a little bit. He had
Ray Allen, right?
He did.
Yeah.
I believe he had the Bucks also.
Listen, Nate McMillan is certified, and there's no reason why he had to go through the. There's no reason why Nate McMillan had to go through the ringer, which he did. Which for some reason the NBA continues to do to a lot of really good coaches. They'll have them, you know, they have to pretty much walk through. I'm gonna use a Game of Thrones reference. They gotta go through Shame Alley with their clothes off, walking through getting spat at. While they assistant coach for coaches who may not even be as good as they are at coaching. And Nate McMillan is one of those guys who finally got a look again, and he's showing the NBA world that he is a certified head coach in this league. Taking Indiana
to
the playoffs.
Nate McMillan, especially after losing a alleged superstar. I think Nate McMillan, you know, I don't think this is anything new to him. I think Nate McMillan has been, deemed out for the count several times. I mean, this guy went to a junior college, Chowan, and then transferred to NC State. He was drafted in the second round, the 30th pick. Is that the last pick of the draft?
60th.
60. Okay,
No, that would have been
the second round.
It would have been
30th
high up
pick.
there in the second round.
Yeah, so he barely made it into the league. So Nate McMillan has been counted out. Yeah, so he's comfortable in this position. I'll say that. And Victor Oladipo didn't have a bad season last year.
No, but it just. I guess it was just.
It's not easy to play with. It's not easy to play with the ball dom.
Right. I was gonna say. I guess it's just the fact that Russell Westbrook dominated the ball. You couldn't see what the kid actually had.
Paul George averaged 20 points this year, and he's an alleged superstar, right? Last year, Victor Oladipo
that shot broke now.
Victor Oladipo averaged 16 points a game last year, and he's nowhere near an alleged superstar.
Right.
So you know.
I think we could. He's getting there.
Well,
now
yeah.
at this point.
Well, he's the all-star.
Yeah.
Superstar.
I mean, I'm not gonna go too far.
Yeah,
okay?
so he's an all-star. But what I'm saying is Paul George, whose expectations are way higher than Oladipo,
Absolutely.
and he should be able to mesh with a superstar player better than Oladipo
Right.
because his IQ should be higher because he's made it farther.
Well, hell, I mean, Indiana is better this year than they were last year, right?
Well, Indiana's got
safe to say.
Indiana's got more wins than I think Indiana's got more wins than OKC.
Right now, are you taking Oladipo or Paul George?
Well, it depends on the situation.
Well, shoot. I mean, if we're judging based off this season, Oladipo's played better.
If you're going to get Oladipo as a number 2 on your team, but he's still going to play to the level that he's played this year, the Oladipo we're seeing now, are you taking him or Paul George?
I'll say this. Paul George is also this year, aside from his offensive flubs, is also still going to be a first, second defensive player or first, second all-team defense, and he's also in consideration for defensive player of the year. So I think his two-way ability makes me go with Paul George.
Now
over
here's the
Oladipo.
thing. Here's the thing, though, Black. Victor Oladipo leads the league in steals.
Ooh, and he also he's fourth all time in consecutive games with at least one steal. I just heard that today. So
It's a great little stat.
Yeah, I like that.
right there.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
like that. Yeah.
So I
Black
mean,
Mo
at
dropping
this
the stat
point,
nugget.
I mean, Victor Oladipo's averaging.
He's no slouch on the defense.
He's averaging 23 points. He's making almost 50% of his shots, and he's making 2 out of 5 threes a game, 37%. He's leading the league in steals. He's leading Indiana clearly to a better record than what Paul George could do. I'm taking Victor Oladipo, honestly. He's younger. He's much more of a gamer than Paul George as well.
Yeah, you're right.
He's
You're
much
right.
more of a competitive,
You're right.
much more of a.
He put the team on his back several times.
Absolutely, his competitive fervor is much stronger than Paul George.
Yeah.
It's
man.
almost like he wants to be the alpha, whereas Paul George
Is cool with being the
is
beta.
cool with being the beta.
Hey, No Hesi community poll. Who would you rather take, Oladipo or Paul George? I feel like that's a worthy question right
Absolutely.
there. And I mean, there's arguments on both sides of that thing. So
I did not
yeah.
expect that. I'll be
Yeah.
100% honest with you.
And honestly, I mean, I can't refute the things that Leak has said though either.
Well, allegedly.
So called.
Are we done with the East? What are we going to end it with like who wins?
We're moving on
We
to
said the Cavs, right?
Well, we also
Unanimously?
the Cavs got it.
Cavs.
Now we talked about Miami. We talked about Toronto. We talked about Boston. We talked
And
about
you guys
Philly.
already talked
We
smack
talked about
all the
Cleveland. We
top
talked about
teams.
Indiana. We
Move
talked
on.
about Miami. We talked about Milwaukee. We talked about Washington.
One last question though for you guys before we end the Eastern Conference as a whole. Who is the biggest disappointment on the East for you this year?
Washington.
And it doesn't have to be a playoff team, mind you.
Oh, okay. Washington.
Oh, I expected this. I expected nothing more than this.
John Wall being a top 10 point guard in the league, being a double-double guy. And listen, Black, I got to give you props. He's not a leader. You said this 2 years ago.
Man.
You know, you said it. You said he's not a leader. You said the guy's a goofball. The guy's you know, this,
Where is this change of heart coming
this
from
guy's
right
got
now?
He's a rapscallion.
well, I mean, where is it coming from? It's obvious. This guy's clearly a degenerate point guard. All right, this guy's exhibiting degenerate behavior with the way he so-called. Listen, how do you
Allegedly.
How do you,
Allegedly.
How do you?
I'm gonna say allegedly 20 times a night
listen.
myself.
How do you have your running mate and your big, who you get all your assists to, you know, going at you in the locker room when you're
Right.
gone, and you going at them when you're gone.
Right. But on social media.
On
though.
social media, that's ridiculous.
Look, I could care less either way because honestly, I never watched any of those videos about what he was saying
Well-
because I cared that
well,
less.
well,
or that
you don't
least
have to
less.
care much about it. All we have to know is
Exactly.
that John Wall is not a proper leader.
Swear to
Yeah,
God.
and you're not gonna hear any complaints.
Sega Jeepesis says, I might have to say Paul just because we saw Victor in a situation to be a helping hand on the Thunder and didn't do much but killing it in Indiana as the star. But Paul has shown that he can be the star or support and still be vital.
That's That's a good point.
Great call. I didn't want to bring up the college game. That was exactly what I was thinking earlier. He was already the star in Indiana because it was him and Cody Zeller, and he was clearly the star of that team.
Cody Zeller, what? Where did
No,
Cody
no.
Zeller come from?
Indiana.
Indiana.
Or the Indiana Hoosiers.
Hoosiers.
Right.
They run college together.
Oh, right.
Yeah. The old Depot was the star.
Yes.
Cody Zeller
yes,
was
yes.
his like backup or like 3-point
group?
shooter. Yeah. he was that second fiddle. He was that DeMarcus Cousins to his alpha.
But Oladipo really didn't have a primary scoring role at Indiana. He was more so like a secondary scorer and a main defender.
He was like he was like a kind of like a poor man's D Wade pretty much.
Yeah, but
He was known for his defense and like high flying, but he was also handling the ball, and he was the one scoring the ball pretty much at will.
Schwab, who's your biggest disappointment?
Honestly, Cleveland. I really think the way Cleveland has imploded this year and then come back.
Listen.
I mean, we're literally. You know what? Let's say this much. My most disappointing is everybody else but LeBron James within the Cleveland organization. Let's put it that way. I think that's a better way to put it.
I've got to stop you guys, man. Victor Oladipo averaged 13 points in college, man. Come on.
But he was the okay.
Listen.
I guarantee you, though, you look up every other numbers on Indiana's team. All those guys were averaging between 13 and 6 points a game. There was nobody else over that.
I'm just saying, man. Scoring at will, that's a bit of an overstatement.
Look, I didn't
Big
say
Ten
that.
basketball scores 60 points a game.
Schwab.
13 points a game is a quarter of the team's points.
Hey, Schwab.
Just like 25, what he's scoring right now, or
Schwab.
23, is a quarter of his team's points in the NBA, if not less.
Hey, Schwab, I'm gonna stop you there. I'm not gonna go any further with this Victor Oladipo talk.
I'm speaking facts, no printer right now. Shout out Jim for that line, by the way.
As far as disappointments go, though, I agree with you. Cleveland, in my opinion, was a disappointment this season, just for the simple fact that, I mean, it's not like Bron didn't have help. I mean, he came into the season with Isaiah Thomas, Derrick Rose, Kevin Love,
So-called Kevin
and
Love.
and a bevy of other role players that he's been in war with. J.R. Smith played like trash this year. Kevin Love has been oft hurt. I mean, the only one consistent has been Bron, but
Allegedly oft hurt.
right, and that was a whole other
I
thing.
think that might have been the best use of allegedly I've had all night.
And then they made the trade. They got Jordan Clarkson. They put some young bulls in place, and they still seem to be kind of confused. So I agree with you there, but I'd have to personally, I want to put a spotlight on the Pistons.
Can I just say real quick before you start this? That was my other choice as I was looking at this for a reason, but I'll let you blow, VA. Go ahead.
I'm going to keep this real short and sweet. I believe that Stan Van Gundy needs to either have his powers lessened or he needs to be removed altogether unless somebody who can actually handle a franchise come in there and coach that team.
I was waiting for you to call for the firing of Stan Van. I thought it was going to be
Hey,
no
look.
Hesi prediction.
Hey, listen, a player once said in reference to Stan Van Gundy that he is a master of chaos. So
Let me say this much about the Pistons, because that was my choice until I kind of thought about the Cavs for a second. The Pistons, first off, because they made these trades. They got Blake Griffin and Tobias Harris and all these guys.
they got
Blake
rid
Griffin,
of Tobias.
Blake Griffin was still getting to the playoffs before CP, wasn't he? Or did he not get to the playoffs until CP was there?
I don't think he got drafted until CP was there.
Oh, he had one.
No,
year,
he
I
played a
think.
couple.
season
He
without
played
him?
at least 1 or 2
Well,
years.
he was drafted, but he played 1 year, I think.
Yeah, 'cause he was hurt.
Yeah.
The first season. So, yeah, I don't think they were a playoff team before CP came.
Well, I'm
to be
pulling him
real.
up right now, and I'll tell you this: Blake Griffin came in the league 2010-11. Blake Griffin's first playoff run was 2011-2012.
So that was his
for
first
the
season.
next year. When was
So-
CP's first year on the
so
Clippers?
he
Or
missed
his
so
first
his rookie
official
year,
season.
he did not play, and he did not make the playoffs. His second season, he did play, and they made the playoffs.
Now the question is
I believe CP was there.
CP on that team?
Well, let's see. So this is the 2011-2012 season. When I go there and I look at the roster, Let's see.
Anyways, what I'm getting at while I was looking this up, you should be able to drop Blake Griffin in, and at least with the squad they have with Andre Drummond, Stan Van running the show, because we know he's a good basketball mind, the whatever guards you got running there, and Tobias Harris, you should at least compete for an 8th spot. And they competed until the end, but they really...
Well, Andre Drummond was one of the best. I mean, before this year, he was considered one of the best bigs in the league, or a
Allegedly.
budding big man in this league. So, I thought that they'd be able to at least surround
Chris Paul
him.
was on that team. Yeah.
Okay.
Chris Paul was on that
He
team.
was on that team. Yeah.
So I was thinking that he would be able to surround these guys. I mean, you got Reggie Jackson.
Well, he's hurt. Reggie Jackson's
Right,
only played a couple games.
I was gonna say that he's
Reggie
been hurt.
Jackson's garbage, move it on.
Here's my thing though, and this is all going back to Stan Van Gundy. The draft picks that he picked up weren't really game changers. I mean, Stanley Johnson. I mean, where is that guy, right? I mean, can we look up that stat line?
Stan Van doing his best Pop impression and castrating that boy, his best Coach K impression.
And
Make sure
then
he neuters that man.
and then going to the trade. I mean, we all can say what we want about Blake Griffin being the star and all of this stuff, but I've been saying for the longest time that Blake Griffin gets hurt every year and only plays probably about 50 to 60 games. So for you to trade for that and try to make him your centerpiece. And I mean, that's your call. Like,
That's a
you're
little
the one
strange.
making that call.
No, it's a little strange.
They're a disappointment. But we can move on.
Let's move it on to the Western Conference. I already feel like
I would say Bron's my biggest disappointment, but I digress.
Who?
Wait, you
LeBron
you're
James.
changing it up now. You already said the Wizards.
Well, LeBron James has.
So wait a second. I said everybody else but LeBron James. You said the Cleveland Cavaliers, and now you're just saying LeBron James.
Nah, look, he just wants to hate on Bron.
The way LeBron has handled Kyrie Irving's situation,
Allegedly,
the way he's handled.
he's on PEDs.
Just the way he's handled the
allegedly.
whole. You're saying that.
The ultimate troll right now.
Just the way he's
with
handling
this
the
one.
whole situation.
You know what?
I'm disappointed
I'm gonna cut
in
it off
LeBron,
there.
all
I'm
right?
going to steer this ship in the right direction and move on to
Finally,
the Western
Schwab.
Conference.
Finally. All right.
Y'all the one keeping it in that wrong direction. I'm just trying
I'm
to
glad
steer
you're
it
finally
back
hosting.
straight. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Oh, get your Ernie on.
So-called hosting.
Real quick, I'm gonna give props to Houston real fast. They've climbed the mountain, at least for the regular season, and conquered the Titan, the Thanos of the NBA.
Bronos?
They haven't quite met that match yet. Bronos.
Golden State is more like the Avengers, if you will.
So
It's a bunch of superheroes joining one team.
All right.
we still have seedings just like in the East. We still have teams to be clinching playoffs. Denver's the only squad right now sitting outside that has a chance to get into the playoffs.
Yes.
Every other team or the top 4 have already been set.
They're trying to get their spot.
Houston, Golden State, and then we don't know if it's going to be Utah or Portland in the 3 and 4. Everybody else, actually,
So just pick a team to
I
start
don't even know
with.
where to start with right
Well,
now.
let's start with Houston. All right. So
But
look.
I feel like we don't need to talk about
Well,
Houston that much. I feel like
no. We could talk about.
they're the
them.
only ones that are for sure.
Why would
moving
we
on
not?
from
Why
this
would we
first
not
round.
talk about the biggest surprise of the West?
I don't think it was a surprise though.
They're the number 1 seed.
I think they deserve their props, but I think
And they
we
were
all-
64, 5
64
wins?
games. Listen, they've only lost 16 games. They're 4 games behind the 72 Bulls.
Look, no one saw this coming
games-
out of
8
Houston.
games
Let's be
behind last-
very
8
clear.
games
So wait, are
behind the
you not
greatest of
giving
all
any
time.
credence to the 73-9 Warriors?
They lost. Is it 9 games or 10 games?
It was 9.
73-9.
Okay, 7. Yeah. So they're 7 games behind them. That's really good.
I'm just wondering why you used the Bulls.
Well,
as-
because
They're
they're
directly
closer
behind
to the
them.
Bulls. Yeah, they're directly behind them.
But,
Schwab trying to stir the pot.
no, it's not a record anymore. That's not. We don't care about
It's
that.
not a
one.
matter
We
of
only
record.
care about
We
the
acknowledge
Warriors
them as a
record.
great team. The Bulls that won 72 games, and they're only 6 games behind them. That's pretty good. I mean,
Technically,
there's no Michael Jordan on this team. It's James Harden.
They could
Hey,
end
and
up
I'll
4
tell you
games
what,
behind.
and I'll tell you what, man. There's a lot being said about it, but let's give James Harden some serious credit. Coming back from last year, he was a flat out disappointment in that last game. Let's be honest, right?
Absolutely.
He gave up on his team. So for him
Absolutely.
to recoup from that, and also losing out to Russell Westbrook for MVP of the season, which he had a solid claim for. I mean, let's give James Harden credit on coming back focused this year. Looked like he got his body in shape. Even better than it was a year prior. He literally upped every possible attribute that he had coming into the season. And a big question mark before the season was whether or not him and Chris Paul could play together, which not only did he do, but he was able to maximize that and make them the best team in the NBA this year. So
that was a really big question coming in. Can those two play together? It did not look like that was possible. Now, I was on the record stating that I believe that they could play together because Chris Paul, prior to his assist forcing situation in Clippers,
allegedly on both them comments,
he's actually quite a competent scorer,
right,
especially from the mid-range area, off the ball. So
can I honestly say one thing I think it helped them mesh so well? It's almost like this experiment that D'Antoni had last season to throw James Harden into the full-time point guard role. Almost allowed him to have a better understanding, not that he didn't already, to share the ball, but it kind of made it that much easier for them to coexist because now James Harden sees what the point guard has to go through on a nightly basis trying to get everybody the ball.
Oh, let's be very clear. Coach D'Antoni will get heavy consideration for Coach of the Year if he doesn't get Coach of the Year for the job he's done out there in Houston. Because, I mean, like you're saying, I mean, just for him last season to put James Harden on the ball all the time and let him work.
Let's be very
at a point as a point guard was a before that was a very sketchy choice.
Let's be very clear.
Right?
We only knew James Harden as James Harden, the destroyer, the killer, the scorer. That's all we knew him as. And last year, it might have even been 2 years ago now, I think.
No, I think it was last season.
Last year? Yeah. It was a complete revelation. We didn't know he had a 12 assist a game season in him. Well, he ended up averaging 11 assists a game last year, I think. Was second in the league to Chris Paul, I believe.
And I think they actually set the record for most three-pointers made by a team in a season as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're shooting threes at a high clip.
The Rockets?
Yeah.
They're actually playing. They're actually defending. I mean, PJ Tucker, I mean, he's stepping up, and he's the glue guy now, right?
Of all the things they're missing, have been missing on these.
He's
Rockets
their Draymond. He's their Draymond Green,
this is the best
right?
defensive team by far.
Absolutely. They've got an enforcer in PJ Tucker.
I think Clint Capella is better in this role than.
Listen,
I mean, obviously Dwight Howard is the only benchmark we're looking at right now.
They just needed a rim runner.
Way better.
They needed a rim runner, and let's be clear, Clint Capella is in a contract here, so he's definitely trying to play up for that.
He's got the perfect role model at the small forward position to go off of.
And who is that, Schwab?
Allegedly.
Who is that?
So-called Trevor Ariza.
The one we know is Trevor Ariza, the champion, right?
Yeah, they've got
He who shall be named.
They've got let's see, 3 so-called elite wing defenders, and PJ Tucker, Luke Baamute, and Trevor Ariza. At one point in time, they've all been elite wing defenders. So,
I agree with that comment more than I do now. I still feel like Bob Mute is slowing down, but everyone is giving him credit this year. I don't understand why.
Well, he's still playing. He's still.
I know he's playing, but
his role is not as big as.
But that's what I mean. I feel like it's more of he's been to the playoffs with all these teams. He's got that presence to him. They're gonna play him on the squad.
Well, he's still a very good defender. There's no getting around that.
Allegedly,
you can't hate your way into that. All right.
Houston, I mean, I'm just going to say it right now before we even ask the question. Houston is my pick to come out of the West.
Okay. All right.
So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to draw the line right now.
Okay.
Wherever y'all want to stand on that.
I saw a sarcastic kind of eye flip I thought out of you.
No.
I can't wait. Look, I'll put it this way. I can't wait to hear who y'all got.
No, there's
should we just do this now real quick?
you can absolutely choose Houston. Listen.
Are you disagreeing with his comment?
Not at all. Not at all. For him to choose Houston.
No. I'm saying is your choice of who you have as Western Conference pick differed in any way, shape, or form from what he just said?
What Schwab's asking is, who do you got? Essentially.
I felt like I had said that already, but I was trying to explain it a little better. Is it different? Because if it's different, we can wait and we can talk about the squad first.
I honestly
then
think
let
we
you
should.
go
I
in
think we
on
should
that.
wait. I think we should save that.
We'll save it then.
We'll save that.
We'll save
I
it.
think it's just gonna be weird when we come back and then we're both like, "Oh yeah, the Rockets are."
Just come back to me. Just come back to
Well,
me.
I'm gonna say mine now. I also think the Rockets are gonna come out of the West. I do not trust. Let's talk about this next squad, the Golden State Warriors, right now, strictly because we've seen them back for a week now.
Shout out to
with
those Golden State Warrior fans.
maybe a
out
week
there.
and a half now.
The numbers
with
are diminishing.
The
every
lineup minus Steph Curry, and they still haven't been playing that well. They've gotten a couple wins, but there's been some bad losses mixed in there.
Listen, the
even-
Kings.
The Kings gave them. The Kings almost won the season series off of them the other night in almost at Arco
There's no
Arena.
doubt in my mind that Golden State has been having a tumultuous season.
I feel like we're finally coming through with our earlier narrative. We just said
Well,
a minute and a half ago.
Leak didn't.
Are we getting to your pick
Leak-
right now?
Leak didn't ascribe to this narrative at the beginning of the season.
I did not.
Kurt the God actually developed.
Absolutely.
I believe. And
Absolutely.
he said that they were early in the season. He said that they're in a state of flux. Primarily due to the control that Draymond Green had over the locker room.
Also, he also deemed them mentally unstable as well. And
Allegedly.
I would agree with that. I would agree. I would agree
Shout out to
that.
Kurt for calling that.
Kurt, I
That's
think
Eagle Hawkeye.
Kurt, you deserve some FaceTime for that one.
Now,
What up, Golden State fan?
all right. So we'll keep it moving.
Oh, I've kept it moving. Now
Whoa,
I'm getting into it
whoa,
now
whoa,
because
whoa.
I can't believe you'd be picking
got some
somebody
more.
other than this squad right now.
Well, what squad?
Hey, look, I got some more hate for Golden State. Hold
No,
on.
we're still on Golden
Hey,
State.
look, I got some golden hate.
He
Hold
hasn't
on.
said that this is his pick to win the West.
Oh, did you want me to make my pick?
I want,
No.
Oh, okay, then.
or unless you're about to go with our Oklahoma City, and then we might really have a mutiny on our
Hey,
hands.
look, let me blow VA real quick. Hey, look. Yo, KD, look, if KD thought that he could win a championship without Steph Curry, he would have stayed in Oklahoma. So right now, the fact that
Yeah.
Steph's hurt and it's not clear when he's going to return,
Right.
because we're talking about Golden State now. We don't.
Right.
We could get into.
Well, Steph's
what
coming
Golden
back.
State's
Well,
been all
Steph's
season.
coming back.
He is.
So yeah.
He is, but
Yeah.
in the current state right now, led by KD,
Yeah.
I'm not confident in that team whatsoever.
Well, they won't be once the second round comes. But yeah,
Well,
Okay.
if
allegedly.
if the second round
Let me.
comes.
Can I ask a question? if the Rockets beat the Warriors in the West Finals this year, does KD go play for the Rockets next year?
No, LeBron
Well, hey,
does.
look, hey, there's no telling.
LeBron does.
There's no telling.
No, listen. Actually, LeBron's about to do the same thing that. Listen, I don't want to be on the East right now, but LeBron's going to do the same thing KD did. The Philly's going to beat
You're
LeBron.
gonna play for Philly?
LeBron's going to go. All right.
Can we get back to the Western
And-
Conference
yes.
and your pick for Western Conference?
Yeah, as you can tell, Leak hates Bron.
All right. Listen. So as far as my pick to come out the West.
If you're gonna say the Rockets, and this is gonna be so
No.
anticlimactic, it's gonna.
Hey, look, and another thing about Golden State. No,
No, I'm going to go with the Warriors. I still got the Warriors coming out the West.
Ooh.
This is why I wanted you to say
That's
Warriors.
a very-
I wanted to ask you why you
That's a
thought
very
they still
safe-
have, because Kurt, are you in agreement with the Rockets being the choice
In the West?
in the West?
Come back to me.
Okay, so maybe we do have some differing opinions on the show. Kurt shut my whole narrative out the box
Well,
right
allow
now.
me to bloviate.
Allow you to
Yeah,
blow.
please.
Allow me to bloviate.
Please.
So, yeah, Golden State does look mentally unstable. They do look unfit. They look. They're clearly having problems and issues, identity issues even. But despite those things, despite the tumultuous season that they've been having, they're still number one in the league in assists. They're still number one in the league in points per game. They're still number one in the league in blocks per game. They're still number one in the league in field goal percentage. They're still number one in the league in three-point percentage. And they're number one in the league in free throw percentage. We know Steve Kerr is an elite coach, possibly the best in the
Allegedly.
league right now, allegedly. He's not only is he an elite coach, but he's also an elite handler. All right? Now
No,
we
I
know,
say he's a better handler than he is a coach.
well, the line is blurred once you're talking about a guy like that.
He took over for one of the best handlers.
Absolutely, Greg Popovich, the
I'm
handler.
talking about he took over for the handler and
Mark Jackson.
Oh,
Well, Mark
listen.
Jackson is a better coach.
Mark
than
Jackson was a
handler.
better coach than a handler. If Mark Jackson was a better handler, he'd still be there right now. All right. So Kerr learned from the greatest handler that
Greg
we've seen in the
Popovich.
modern era, Greg Popovich.
Yep.
We're not going to get into their
And
infinite
for
tactics.
those who
No.
don't, hold on. For those who don't,
but
for those who
they-
don't understand,
See, I don't even see Pop as a handler though.
listen. For those,
Excuse me?
Right now, we're seeing it with Kawhi.
nah, listen.
But he hasn't been like this over his career. He's been more of a coach.
No,
Even
he's
Tony
no, he's
Parker
been
and
a
Manu
handler.
Ginobili and Tim
Nobody's
Duncan. Some of
stepped
the
out
most
of line
calmest
from the
players-
programming.
They're some of the most calm players
You
of
know
all
what?
time. There's nothing to handle.
Schwab.
They're handling themselves.
Hold
They
on.
took off their own and handed them to
Schwab.
Greg Pop to
Come
put
on,
on the
Schwab,
mantle.
Schwab. But see, why would they hold so much respect for? You said they're handing it to Greg Popovich. Why
Because
would
he's
they
a better
feel the
coach.
Why would they feel the need to do that if they didn't understand that this is what they need to do in his system? Kurt.
Just to make this real quick, Greg Popovich's duties for San Antonio Spurs go far beyond coaching. Let's be very clear about
Let's
that.
be very clear about that. And for those who,
Absolutely.
as I was trying to explain, for those who don't understand what we're saying when we say handler and coach, coach is more X's and O's. He can draw
Right.
plays.
Absolutely.
He calls timeouts at the right time. Calls
Absolutely.
the right plays.
Brett
on
Brown,
the
great
inbound.
coach. Brett Brown, great.
X's and O's.
He's shown himself to be an excellent coach.
We can name off.
What's the name?
Brad Stevens. Is,
Brad Stevens,
a
excellent
great
coach.
And we're not
Snyder,
saying that-
Snyder from Utah, excellent coach.
This is not saying
Handler.
that a coach.
Now
can't
we're
be
talking a whole nother.
We're not saying a handler can't be a good coach,
Right.
but in order to coach a great team, you need to be a great handler.
Absolutely.
A handler is the person who, the main attribute of a handler is that they impose their will, and it normally goes unchecked. So,
See, I see handler as something different.
Well,
A handler is somebody who's wrangling those egos and trying to bring everybody together.
Well,
I mean, you're just regurgitating
I know,
what he just swallowed.
What I'm saying is, when has Greg Popovich ever had to do this? He's never, until Kawhi, like
if you don't-
literally in the last
listen,
3-4
Schwab,
months.
Listen, Schwab.
He's never had to
Schwab.
handle
Schwab.
ego or
That-
Schwab, that's why he's the best
That's how
handler.
great of a handler he
handles them
is.
so
If you
well
don't think-
that they stay at a minimum.
If you don't
Absolutely.
think that Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, Tim Duncan require handling, then I don't think you know.
Listen,
I don't think you know what's going on in the league.
Listen.
right
Just
now.
based off the fact that Pop handled Steven Jackson and got a championship out of him, come on. Let's be very.
Look,
we're talking about elite level
Gin-
handling.
Ginobili,
all right.
Ginobili is an elite
Steven
level
Jackson-
world basketball
Steven-
player. Who,
Yes.
Yeah.
Who played for Argentina and has won several FIBA championships.
And Pop handled
And
that
Pop
man.
made him come off the bench for his whole career.
But Manu Ginobili.
Manu Ginobili can start on any team.
That's
in the
right.
NBA.
Absolutely.
Let's be very clear
And his
about
prime, absolutely.
But Manu
Absolutely.
Ginobili also wasn't out there dancing like Chef.
But
Or
nobody
out there.
see now your opinion of what an ego is.
Yeah.
That's completely different.
Yeah.
That's completely different. Not everybody shows their ego like Steph.
Yeah,
Steph Curry.
you're also
What I'm getting at is you have 4 hot-headed, damn near hot-headed guys on this Warriors team. We're talking about the Warriors right now. Okay? Is what we're getting at with being a handler.
That's a different type of handling, though. Let's be very clear. That they have handlers over there, but they are very loose. We're talking about probably the most liberal team
Absolutely.
in the NBA. So they have handlers, people that impose their will and force their agenda, but their agenda looks very different. Therefore, the handling looks very different.
to me, I've always seen Greg Popovich as a. If we're going off this as the basis,
Pop has been solidified.
He's been a better coach.
Well,
To
Pop,
me,
one of the
to
best.
me,
Pop
than
is also a
handler.
great coach.
Well, Swab.
great at both.
Well, Swab, you're Swab. You're just being introduced to the ideology of a coach being a handler right now.
No,
So you
I
would have.
know it's been around because you guys have been bloviating about Mark
Well,
Jackson for the last few years and all these other guys talking about it.
A go handler for a perfect example would be Phil Jackson.
I was
Absolutely.
just about to say
Absolutely.
Phil Jackson,
Yeah.
one of the best handlers ever
Absolutely.
I mean,
in the history
he's
of
somebody
the NBA.
that was able to take. We called Michael Jordan the greatest player of all time. He was able to get Michael Jordan to buy in. to his
Listen.
system.
Not only
Right.
was Michael Jordan is arguably the GOAT basketball player. he's also
One of the biggest egos that we've ever had
Listen,
in the history of the NBA.
Michael Jordan, whether comfortable with it or not, was Phil Jackson's pawn to become a championship coach 6 times.
And he bought into it
And he
because
bought in
he
that.
trusted that Phil Jackson would be
He
able
accepted-
to
he
coach.
trusted
he
the
accepted-
and handle.
He accepted
He
the
tru-
pawning. He said, "I'll be your pawn."
To
you know,
me,
because the success is there for me.
Being a handler is almost more of a negative. See, remember, where's this all coming from, right?
Hey, Swab,
look,
you know
look,
what,
however
Swab?
you wanna look at
Listen,
it.
Swab. I'm listen. Now back to the Warriors. All right, all right. So they've gotten an elite level handler. All right, So I think with that being said, and you still got arguably one of the greatest scorers of all time in Kevin Durant, and you still got the greatest 3-point shooter of all time. You still got the greatest secondary 3-point shooter of all time on the squad. And you've got an enforcer like David West who's been relaxed the whole regular season and ready to play in the playoffs. You got
Did you mention Draymond already?
I did not mention Draymond. I'm not
The
necessarily
wild card.
I think it would be best for the Warriors run if they do not rely on Draymond Green to have a big series in any type of way.
But see, that's the thing is, he's the only player on this team that cannot be handled, which is the reason why they're in a state of flux right now.
Absolutely. And it's up to Steve Kerr.
And he's even infected Kevin Durant's whole attitude.
Absolutely is.
And Steph.
Absolutely.
So I feel like for that reason, mixed with injuries, which have been unfortunate, but they are a reality in the league, I feel like this year for them is looking like their path to the finals the last few years, where they've played teams that have been hurt or have had a substantial player on another team be hurt, and they were able to just ball out because let's be real, all their championships have been marred in CP hurt or somebody on San Antonio hurt. Kawhi Leonard was hurt last year. Before he went out, they were up 20. So I feel like we give Golden State a lot of credit for those championships and for what they've done in the regular season. But right now, I think that their team is pretty much staring at their own medicine.
Well, I'll say this.
They're going to have to drink that.
I'll say this. You deal with who's in front of you. All right? It's not Golden State's responsibility for CP3 to be healthy. It's not Steph Curry's responsibility for Mike Conley to be healthy. That's their responsibility. So they're dealing with who's in front of them. Now, if you're suggesting that Draymond Green will, quote unquote, vandalize their championship run, well, I can't argue with that. I can't argue against that. He's definitely capable of that. He's shown that he's got the ego and the power to the influence to do something like that.
Quick side note, Sega Jeepus says, side note, this has been a great stream, exclamation mark. Thanks for broadcasting,
Hey,
exclamation
that's a
mark.
shot. Hey, shout out to Jeep, man, for peeping this.
My man, allegedly, or a woman, whatever you are, I appreciate you for watching.
I can assure you.
And chiming in.
Well, from what I know,
Yeah.
Jeep is a young strapping male.
All right.
Pause.
So, but yes, if
Hesi.
if Draymond Green can definitely be an impairment to a championship run, he's definitely a wrecking ball waiting to be swung. All right. And I don't know if Steve Kerr, has a wall strong enough to protect the championship, the chip tape.
All these hypotheticals, but you're still taking them to
Absolutely.
go to the finals.
Absolutely, I am.
Now,
And I mentioned to you why a couple minutes ago.
Just because they're first in those categories, Toronto's first in the East, Atlanta was first
Right.
a couple years ago. Doesn't
Right.
always mean the first is the best.
Well, these teams aren't championship proven that you're speaking about.
let me.
They also don't have the greatest shooter in NBA history.
Let me pose this question though.
They're also not
KD?
handled by Stephen Curry.
Oh.
Let me pose this question.
Don't act suave. You know exactly who that is. You know exactly who is that. Who
I was
that
gonna
is.
say Clay.
You know exactly who that is. Don't
Larry-
disrespect.
Larry Bird?
Look, the people out there know I don't like Golden State, so I don't really need to blow your head on that. But my question to you, Leak, is what gives them the edge over Houston? All these things that you said were great,
Yeah.
but Houston also has pretty much swept them this year.
Yeah.
Have they lost to them this year?
All I know is
Sure.
we're talking about Cleveland coming in and Toronto being scared. I think the Warriors are scared of the Rockets coming in and taking everything over.
I'm not mad at that at
Well,
all.
not
I mean, KD's verbalized that already.
Well,
He already we're not invincible. It's James Harden's time.
KD reverting back to his OKC beta form.
Let's put it
Look,
like this. Listen,
All right.
I've heard
All
them.
right, don't start me.
I've heard them both speak about. The Golden State. I mean, the Houston Rockets rise the last 2 weeks. I've heard KD speak. We all know KD is a beta male. We all know KD is not a better player on the floor for Golden State than Stephen Curry. They need Stephen Curry to go.
I see that now. Yeah.
They need Stephen Curry to go
that.
more than they need Kevin Durant to go. All right,
Yeah.
Kevin Durant is a complementary piece to Stephen Curry.
Right.
If he was not, he would not have went to play with Stephen
Right.
Curry.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Now,
and if you don't see that by now, then I don't. You clearly
Absolutely.
need your glasses fixed.
I hate Steph and I see it, so y'all should see it too.
now, as far as
I'll eat that.
now, as
I
far
didn't
as
say
what,
that last
now, as far as what Kevin Durant, now as far as what Stephen Curry says, he does respect the rise of the Houston Rockets, and you got to. Now, scared, that's a whole nother thing. We're talking about Stephen Curry, who's an ultimate competitor. All right, Klay Thompson, who's an ultimate competitor, allegedly. Draymond Green, who's a dirty but ultimate competitor.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Steve Kerr, who's an ultimate competitor. They're salivating at the opportunity to face that team healthy. That way, they can establish who is the rooster of the West.
Listen, Steph Curry steps on a twig, and you're gonna have to ice his ankles down. Okay.
Listen.
So I'm not confident that even when he comes back, he will be at full strength.
Listen,
we've seen what a 85% Steph Curry does in the playoffs.
Right.
Okay. When LeBron James.
Yeah, it's about 26 points a game. Yeah. Absolutely.
But it's also catching a step back from Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie Irving
solidified.
Kyrie Irving is the most assassinating player in the NBA. Let's be very clear offensively.
But at that point, we weren't saying that.
Well, I mean, at that point, you weren't saying that. Kyrie Irving's repertoire, as far as scoring from the perimeter to the cup, is second to none.
Okay.
So,
but I know a few people that had Kyrie back a little bit further before that.
Well, those few people were casuals, all right? And shame on you for taking their word and adopting their ideologies and then bringing them to Hesi. Allegedly.
Yeah, all right. So
I don't even want to talk about the rest of the West anymore.
Schwab, who else?
I don't think we need to.
Schwab, who else we got on
Do
that
either
list?
of you think any of these other teams out here have a reasonable chance?
Schwab, see, now you're starting to sound
You know what,
casual
Schwab,
as well.
you know what,
Okay, because there's a lot to talk about.
I
right now
absolutely
in the West.
feel like as long as listen, the Rockets. Let's go down the list. All right.
I mean, you got the Trailblazers at number 3.
All right, so we got the Blazers number 3. We're now
You
right.
honest-
Who are they playing right now?
Right now,
Okay,
they would play
no.
Listen,
But
listen.
Do
Right
either
now,
of you really think the Blazers could beat the Rockets or the Warriors in a 7-game series?
As of right now, the Blazers.
We're not. Why are we putting them against
Right.
Golden State right
and
They gotta go through that to
then,
get
look,
there.
then we might as well end the show then, Schwab. All right. All right.
Sega Jeepus says Portland.
Thank you, G.
Listen.
See, me and G.
Portland.
We're here.
Portland.
G.
Listen to you
Listen.
right now with
G,
your
we're
Portland.
here, man.
Portland talking about. Next time I'm going to hear Oklahoma City is my sleeper pick to get
Portland
to the
would be
West
playing
Finals
San
this
Antonio right
year.
now.
Okay, that was my question.
Before if we could stop this guy from bloviating out of turn.
Portland might
would-
lose first round of San Antonio.
No, they're not.
All right, well, let's
listen,
blow. Well, let's
Let's
bloviate
bloviate
on that.
that. Let's put that to the test. then.
They just lost the season series 2-1 to the Spurs.
Okay. Well, all right. So now
And all we know is the facts. The here and
all
the
right,
now.
Schwab. So I'm asking you because this was going to be my question to both of you: who's winning the first round series, Portland or San Antonio?
I've got
And Kurt, you were also included in this question.
I've got Portland winning that.
Okay.
No Kawhi Leonard and Damian Lillard is playing in MVP form. I've got Portland winning that.
Along with CJ McCollum stepping,
Along with Nurkic playing better too. Nurkic
I'll give you
actually,
that.
yeah.
I'll give
Nurkic
you
is
that.
playing better.
I'll give you
He's
that
not quite
because you
at the
did say that earlier.
He's not quite at the 20 points per game, which I felt like they would need him to be at. But to get out of the first round,
Well, Dame's just playing. He's playing.
Dame's covering up for him. But I definitely think they're playing well enough to get out of the first round.
Can I real quick shout out nobody on that squad that's playing better that we kind of hated on? You liked him in the get-go.
Connaughton.
Zach Collins.
Oh, yeah.
Zach Collins. Yeah,
Zach Collins has been playing better.
He's
as of
improved.
late.
He's
He's
improved.
He's been a good backup for them.
I agree with that.
For the record, I'm more than likely still taking the Blazers, but the Spurs will not go quietly. And Popovich and
they
them will not go
won't.
quietly.
They won't go
That's what I'm
quietly.
saying.
They're handled by Popovich.
Did you say
of course.
quietly?
Kurt, you guys starting rumors right now.
Look,
Kawhi might be
look.
coming back for the playoffs.
Look.
If Kawhi comes back, do they beat the Blazers?
Kawhi's not coming back, all right?
If
Look,
ifs and ands were
all right.
stiffs and butts and this and that. And
Kawhi's
yits and
getting-
yuts.
Let's just hold this
Listen.
whole conversation,
Listen.
assuming that Kawhi is not.
Listen, Kawhi's getting his second opinion right now, all right? He's not coming back, all right?
Is
Let's
that
be
a
very
sixth
clear.
opinion?
Listen, Pop's already put out the word that Kawhi has broken the programming,
Right.
all right? He's no longer under his handle. And he
Well, hold on. We talk about a handler, but he can't handle this situation now.
Well, honestly, this is the first
time that a player has broken programming.
This is a first.
According
That's
to
why we're so
my
shocked.
rules, the first.
And no, look, and you, Schwab, have stated in the past that Kawhi is, some Boy Scout,
Right.
That
I've
just
always-
goes out there
I've
with his
always-
lunch pail.
The assassin.
And this season, he's completely showed us a different side.
Absolutely.
You gonna go out there and you gonna break Pop's programming?
You know what I kind of like?
The audacity.
Listen. You know what I've likened Kawhi Leonard's situation this year? It's almost like
To the born identity.
Listen. The pitcher in MLB
To a sleeper agent?
where there's a great pitcher, they throw their arm out and get Tommy John surgery. They don't come back properly, or so they feel something different in their pitching motion, or even like Paul George was talking about, his mechanics feel different. Something must not feel right.
Listen.
Why would Kawhi Leonard be sitting out? He's given no.
Schwab, I'm gonna stop you right there because
And,
I
you
have
know,
my
we're-
own.
because we're getting
theory.
into conspiracy theory territory
Well,
with it.
if you don't believe that his decision to not play is financially rooted, then I don't know what to tell you guys, because I'm sure that's what it is. He sees exactly what's happening to Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas carried the Celtics to the number 1 seed last year.
Yep.
Got hurt his hips.
Yep.
I mean, you would expect him to get reimbursed for all that work he put in.
Right.
He gets moved
Right.
at the beginning of the season. So if you don't think that's in the back of Kawhi Leonard's mind, that I'm an expendable player in this league and I'm not going to come back and risk myself in order to help the Spurs make the playoffs, then you're fooling yourself, because that's exactly what he's thinking right now. I mean, I don't doubt that he's been ready to play for the last couple weeks, but I'm sure it's on a level where it's something he could re-injure. I'm sure he feels that way as well. But if you don't think that Kawhi has been ready to play since they said he was okay the first time, then I mean, we might as well stop talking about Kawhi.
I mean, then we should, because I don't see that at all.
Listen, let's be very.
Am I in bizarro world tonight? I feel like
Listen,
I'm just being,
Kurt.
I'm not following anything right now.
Are you familiar with Kawhi Leonard's uncle?
See, that doesn't matter to me. I don't even.
We'll see-
it
that-
matters-
we'll see that-
it
well, that
matters
right
to
there.
Kawhi, and that's part of the reason
Yeah.
why he's not back right now.
Listen, Kawhi, Dennis Robertson is his name.
Uncle
We're
Dennis.
gonna go ahead and give him.
Uncle Dent.
We're gonna go ahead. I mean, at this point, he's earned to have his name put out. I mean, because that notion that you just bloviated, that was a program implanted in Kawhi's head by Dennis Johnson.
That's
Yes.
exactly
His
what I
new
was going to
handler.
say. Yep. his
Okay.
new- And Sam Amick even corroborated the story when I was listening to Sports Talk 1140, because he said that he called Kawhi's uncle trying to get some more information because he doesn't have enough people around the situation to tell him. And right before he went on air, he said he looked at his phone and realized that he missed the call. But everybody who knows anything about Kawhi Leonard knows that his new and obviously most dominant handler is his uncle, Uncle Dennis.
Look. hell, Popovich, his former handler, Popovich, even said in the last press conference in regards to Kawhi, we'll have to find out from his people. I haven't heard from his people.
Right.
So that just lets you know that they have no control over the situation right now. They don't know what's going on. And like I said, my theory is that it has to do with bread.
Well, listen,
His contract's coming up.
Well, he's got 2 more years on contract.
His extension is coming up.
His super max extension.
His super max extension.
His stupid max extension is coming up.
That is a stupid max. The amount of money that you can make.
I think if it is related to money, which is
Listen,
this is the first I'm hearing of an uncle for the record, and I feel like I've been following this.
Well, you haven't.
Obviously not.
So your feeling is incorrect.
Anyways, well then I'm just gonna move it along.
I don't even know what I was gonna say I've got more bloviation on this.
Keep going. That's why I said, why are we even talking about these other teams? Just keep going.
So as far as the Kawhi Leonard situation, I do agree with you, Black, that is a part of it. But it is just a part of it. There's also another section where Kawhi Leonard also feels ousted by the Spurs organization. That's also a program put into him by Uncle Dennis, his new handler. Kawhi, the fact that Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker have went public,
openly spoke out
against Kawhi, openly chastised Kawhi Leonard for not returning back at this time. Lets you know that information was sent to them by their handler, Greg Popovich, who decided to readjust the programming for Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili to now speak out against a Kawhi Leonard, which they've never done that before in the organization.
Right.
So that lets
Pop we have to understand. Pop probably feels disrespected.
He probably feels disrespected, and he probably also feels like he does not have control over this Kawhi bot. All right. He feels like he knows that his program has been overridden, and he knows that as a fail safe, he's gonna reprogram Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili to speak out against Kawhi, hoping that would in turn guilt Kawhi into returning back to fight with his brothers. Listen, Pop knows exactly what he's doing. All right, that's why
he's a GOAT.
That's why he's the GOAT.
We're seeing it now. What I'm saying is we're seeing it now, though. You guys are saying like we've been
no
seeing
one's
it.
ever gotten out of line, which Kawhi is. Back to that.
Maybe it's like maybe it's like that whole NFL thing we're talking about. The inmates are wearing the prison comment they had.
Well, see now, Schwab. You're getting into a whole conversation.
That's sticky. That's hot water right there, Schwab. Specifically for you. All right. So I say we return back
I'm
to.
done for the night.
We return back to
See, that's the thing. I don't even see it as a racial thing. I'm just looking at that type
Schwab,
of analysis.
Schwab, who said it was a racial thing?
You're telling me I'm the only one here.
No.
That has, allegedly,
Schwab.
so-called, by my so-called complexion
Schwab.
that I've been given over the years.
No one mentioned race, Schwab.
Aligned with the maker of these comments.
Schwab.
In the last 6 months.
Anyway.
Yeah. All right.
But due to the current state of the Spurs right now, I do not see them
beating the Blazers.
I don't see them beating the Blazers.
Not with Damian riding this hot.
Nah, yeah, they're. I mean, aside from the last few games, they kind of flubbed a little bit.
Yeah.
I see them being able to beat the Spurs in a series.
Well, I think they got a little comfy.
That's not saying it's not going to go 7
Right,
games.
absolutely.
But without Kawhi Leonard, I think the team is in a state of flux. It will be super interesting to see LaMarcus Aldridge versus Dame Lillard.
Absolutely.
That's
true. That's true. Absolutely.
That'll be fun to watch.
We've already seen it.
We have, but not in this capacity.
In the offs?
Not with both. We did see it in the offs. We saw it the first year that LaMarcus went to San Antonio.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
However, LaMarcus was not leading the charge. So now we're in it. This is a whole different dynamic. And you got LaMarcus.
It's basically LaMarcus's team at this point.
Well, I can't say that. It's Greg Popovich's team. LaMarcus Aldridge is adhering to his programming more than he has before.
It's resulting in him, having one of his best statistical seasons.
I can agree with that
of his career,
and that's a testament to his handler.
swear this is like Westworld, where like Pop is Dr. Ford and Kawhi is Bernard or Arnold.
Right.
Kawhi is truly Bernard / Arnold.
Right.
Like
He's going against his narrative.
he's
He's off his loop.
Yeah.
right.
Hey, yo, shout out to Westworld. It's coming out. It's coming back soon, by the way. So,
All right, so now moving on, we do have Utah in the 4 seed. Utah would be playing against New Orleans at this time, which I, without a doubt, feel like Utah would take out New Orleans probably in around 5 or 6 games.
I don't like talking like this right now because this may not be what it is.
Absolutely,
Well,
but we have to go off where it's at.
we have to get
we
the
can't
playoffs started
project the
today.
changes that are going to happen within the next 2-3
understand
games.
that,
Well,
but
Schwab,
I'm saying,
already-
I feel like we should go on each team though,
Well,
instead of
Schwab-
pitting them against each other like this.
Schwab, you tell me what you think is going to happen in the next couple games. Who's going to slide?
This
Well,
will
we,
take too long
well,
to
we
have
can
to
do
look
both,
into
Schwab.
everyone's
We can do
playing.
both. We can talk about the team and how they're doing as far as on their own merit, and then also discuss what the potential matchup is at the time. We kind of been doing that, but I think
we didn't do that at
Sure.
all really
Hey,
for the
look, sure.
East, though. That's the thing. We talked about Boston and Milwaukee, and that was pretty much it.
Look,
we
hey,
talked
look.
about those matchups.
Hey, look, hey, Schwab, it's me and Lee's job to bloviate. It's your job to host the show, okay?
Allegedly,
You tell us what to do,
Yeah.
okay, Schwab?
I'm just sitting here. He moved it along to Utah, so I was letting him take the reins.
well, let me take the reins then.
I was letting you go
All right. Well, why'd you stop me then?
because it wasn't you. Let's just keep going.
Exactly.
Just keep
All right.
going.
Now let's Schwab. Listen.
Keep going.
Talk about order. Talk
Utah
about
and
order
New
structure.
Orleans.
All
Who's
right.
winning?
So Utah's been riding hot. Utah's been playing well. They're led by a rookie, Donovan Mitchell, and actually, well, that's a legend. That's a legend.
Shout out to Ricky Rubio.
Yeah,
Am I
absolutely.
right? I mean,
Pablo
this guy's
Rubio.
kinda,
Yeah.
This guy's kind of come back in. I mean, he's shooting better this year. He's shooting more threes. I want to say he's in a 30% from 3 now this year.
Possibly. He's playing well.
He looks like an arms dealer,
Yes.
or he might deal something on
Listen,
the low. But we're
I'll
not
tell you
gonna get
this.
into
I'll
that,
tell you this.
okay?
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. If Rubio comes to the arena during the playoff series wearing suits, preferably in white, with his top 3 buttons open, there's no way.
With the taco meat.
There's in the ponytail. There's no way that Anthony Davis and the Pelicans take them out.
Cocaine Rubio, cocaine white.
Cocaine and Rubio.
looking like Johnny Tapia from Bad Boys too.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
No, but see, I'm sorry. I disagree with you there. I want to go out on the limb and say that.
All right.
I think it's beautiful what Utah has done this year, and I think we should all commend them for it. Considering the fact that they lost their star player Gordon Hayward,
Right.
and the fact that they're better this year than they were with them last year, right?
Right,
Pretty
absolutely.
much. But I'd say
Arguably, yeah.
Allegedly.
allegedly. But I'd say that this Cinderella story is going to come to an end real soon. I think that Anthony Davis' legacy leads me to believe that he needs to win this series, and because of that, I feel like he will win this series. He'll put his team on his back.
Right.
I think if out of all teams for them to match up in the first round, for them to get past the first round, it would be Utah.
Right.
Rondo's playing at a high level right now. Drew Holiday's playing at a high level. They're getting some good defensive play. Mirotic is also playing well.
He's their number 2 on this team.
I mean, shout out to Alvin Gentry as well.
That's
who's saving his career. By
That's
the
where I
game,
was
right?
going next.
Okay.
Alvin
Most
Gentry.
improved coach award of the year.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but the fact that they've been able to sustain and almost play better without DeMarcus Cousins is a testament to Anthony Davis's play, who's been playing out of his mind, and I hope I don't get any faces for that.
No, you won't.
and you know, Gentry being able to handle the rest of these guys. I mean, he's got Rondo. I mean, let's be clear. The last few years, Rondo has been out of line with his coaches.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's actually playing and he's actually running the system that Alvin Gentry has set in place, I like them winning this if they match up against Utah.
Now, Black, I gotta stop you right there. I gotta stop you right there. Okay. First things first. Let's be very clear. Nobody handles Rajon Rondo. Okay. Literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
Rajon Rondo handles himself
Absolutely.
because Rajon Rondo is on one of the shortest leashes that I've ever seen any NBA player be on.
You're not lying.
Second
He
of
wouldn't
all,
be on a leash though if he wasn't. Nobody could handle him.
well, he's handling himself.
Yeah, absolutely. Rondo's rogue. Rondo is not under any jurisdiction. He's not under any government structure. He's literally operating as his own sovereign individual.
Yeah, he's under contract, but he's under no authority.
Right.
But with that said, not only that, but when Rondo hits the court, I don't see him running Alvin Gentry's offense. I see him running Rondo's offense when he's out there.
Which the IQ is
Allegedly.
high enough to
Allegedly.
for other players to play with. If he's in a good groove. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I feel like the team has done a better job adapting to what offense is on the floor based off of what 2 stars are on the floor or 3 at any given time. Holiday, Rondo, if you want to call Rondo a star still,
Right.
and then AD. But that's what I see more of. I see them coming together more as a team. And now that some more of the ball stopping, with DMC being out is gone, and then you do bring in a Meritit, and you put him in a position where it's like, hey, we need people to shoot threes, so go ahead and shoot some threes and get some rebounds. I think that's really what's going on with him. Not to mention some other injuries have, held him back. But also, Black Mo, don't forget who got injured and then came back to the Jazz and was a pivotal part of changing around their last half of their season, where they've gone like 31-5 last time I've checked in the last 36 games before these last 2. So he has to go up against Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Now, Rudy Gobert's not going to stop Anthony Davis,
Man,
but
that's
he's
a
going to
heck of a
slow Anthony
matchup
Davis
right
down.
there.
I'll also
Hey, you
say-
know what, Kurt? You know what, man? You might have swayed me. I'm gonna stick to my guns on this one.
I'll put the nail in the coffin.
But yeah,
I'll put the nail in the coffin. Utah has the second highest defensive rating in the NBA.
And thank you so much, League. I was just about to say that they were top 5 in defensive rating last time I had checked.
and they got Crowder playing up since his debacle in Cleveland.
Absolutely.
So I mean, you guys bring up excellent points. I'm not shout out to Snyder as well, man. He's a heck of a coach.
I feel like he's a better coach than this season.
Absolutely.
Than Alvin Gentry's been
Absolutely.
a coach this season as
I
well.
agree with that.
What players buying in to the respective coaches' philosophies? I would definitely say that the players on the Utah Jazz are sold on Snyder's philosophies. They bought in. I would definitely say that the players on the New Orleans Pelicans are sold on Anthony Davis's talents and have bought in.
Yeah. Well. Can you guys say this though? And I don't know if you can. That there is at least a healthy respect for Alvin Gentry. Otherwise, I mean, they would just be. I mean, these guys would just be operating and not really care.
You said something earlier that touched with me. You said Alvin Gentry's offense. Really, the offense has been feed the ball to Anthony Davis is what it's been for the last.
And
couple
get the
of
hell
years.
out the way.
Exactly, that's what it's been the last couple of years.
With no DeMarcus in the way, Anthony Davis has had free reign all over the court to literally have his way.
So we're gonna slander Alvin Gentry.
Well, no.
No, because you guys just praise
No.
him. I don't. I he's a good. He is a good coach. I don't think the game plan.
Listen. I'll say
He may not be in the right scenario.
Yeah, I
He's
wish I
still a
could've
good
seen it.
overall coach.
I wish I could have seen Kurt's reaction when he just said that.
But right now, he's not. But he's still a good coach. He's coached over the years.
Kurt Camp.
Alvin Gentry will still be in this
I'll tell you
league
this.
after
I'll tell you
he
this.
gets fired.
I'll tell you
from
this.
his team.
I'll tell you this. Listen.
Yo, you remember that ringer I told you about that Nate McMillan was on? I think he might be on a permanent one if he gets fired from this squad. This is like his second run at this?
Listen, I'll tell you this.
At
Alvin,
head coaching, at least, yeah.
I'll say this. We're not going to
He's
say
Phoenix head coach, right?
Okay, that sounds
And
all right.
Clippers.
we're not going to say Alvin Gentry is a good coach. I don't think that's fair to good coaches. All right. What we will say is Alvin Gentry is a respected character
Talk about
in the NBA.
slander.
He's
All
a
right.
respected name in it, but that's what I'm saying.
He's a respected
there
character.
needs to be a healthy respect in order for them to be a playoff team.
But it's
at
way
least.
more slanderous than calling him a good coach. You're just a respected person in the league. but he's been a coach his entire career.
Well, it's like what was the coach for the Thunder who got arrested dead? His wife.
Oh, Monty Williams.
Monty
Yeah.
Williams. That's another example.
Right.
Who had the spot before Alvin Gentry had the spot, and they fired him when he
made him to the playoffs.
So
got him
maybe
to the
this is
play.
more
They
about
had
just the
respect-
Pelicans.
They had a respect
front
for
office incompetence more than anything.
Well, that's
Because I've always wondered why
absolutely.
why the
That's
GM
fair to
Dell
say.
Demp
Absolutely.
still has a
I think
job.
that's fair to say.
Yeah, and
I
part
mean,
of their incompetence was hiring Alvin Gentry as a coach.
after he took over
After Monty
Handler
Williams.
Kirk, and won a couple games and won a chip in Golden State. And that's pretty much the only reason why he got the job, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I was just saying the fact that they produced more this season than they did last season.
Well, they had DeMarcus Cousins for the whole first half.
Just hear me out.
All right.
This is also another full season under his control. Right. So I feel like that could have helped in that as well, not just because they played well without DeMarcus Cousins. So I mean, and Drew Holiday's playing up. I mean, we got to give him some credit.
Well, I give him credit, but not enough to beat the Utah Jazz in the playoffs.
These guys just aren't independently playing up, right? They had to have been coached up by someone, and if it's under his handle,
I think Kurt
he has responsibility with that.
I think Kurt said it already. It was coached up by Rajon Rondo. It's what he's doing.
Now what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to give Rondo that much credit, all right? Now, I understand.
The man had 17 assists the other night. Can you name me one other person in the league that's had 17 this year? Besides maybe James Harden?
LeBron James.
Has LeBron had 17 assists?
I think no
I think
turnover.
it was 16, but I mean,
16,
close
17,
enough.
17 with no turnovers.
Right.
Gee, no turnovers. Gosh.
No, but I can see that. But like I said, I mean, he didn't respect Coach Carlisle, and he showed it. And he didn't respect Coach Carl, and showed it. So the fact that we haven't had an outburst.
He didn't respect
Holberg.
Holberg either. Well, but he doesn't deserve any. But
not only did he not respect Holberg, he went out of his way to
disrespect Holberg.
So the fact that he,
along with leading an apostasy against Holberg in that locker room.
So all of that confirming my point that there has to be a healthy respect.
Yeah, I'm weak
there.
in this show, dog. This is like. Not only did he disrespect Holberg, but he led an apostasy against
mutiny against Coach
by taking his star player, Jimmy Butler, and his GOAT, Dwayne Wade, and basically, openly defying this man
and usurped the power of the locker room.
To the point where he had to go. Not only did all of them had to go,
So going back to my point, I feel like we have to credit Coach Gentry. Now, is he the best coach in the NBA? No.
Well, do we have to?
How long is he going to be there?
Listen,
I don't know.
He's probably gone after. He's
After
gone
the exit.
Listen, he's probably.
I'm not
gone,
saying they're
how
going
many
past-
games do they have left from the regular season? Two. Okay, so he's gone in 6 games. All right. He's got 6 games left.
I got him beating Utah.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You're just sticking with that. And I appreciate you for sticking with your guns. I respect you for that. But listen, Black. Let's be clear. You don't have to play this game with us. All right.
Look.
You don't have to do this.
Look.
I was gonna say he
don't have to
started
do
to
this.
convince me when he was talking about it when he first brought it up because I do think the Jazz are the better team, but by the same token, Anthony Davis is the best player on the court. And one other thing I don't trust rookies playing their first round playoff.
Thank you.
Donovan Mitchell is the star of this team, like you
Let's
just
not be
said.
fooled. Let's
This
not
is a
be
rookie,
fooled.
and we're talking about Jay Crowder being a better piece. What has he ever done for any squad?
Look, let's not be fooled by
What
the
has Ricky
incredible
Rubio done
season.
for any squad? Let's be very clear about that.
Let's not be fooled by the incredible season that Donovan Mitchell had, and let's temper a little bit of the expectation that we
Quinn
have for
Snyder
him.
can't go out there and play for these guys.
Let's temper the expectation that we got for him going into the playoffs. I mean, what are you expecting? You expecting Donovan Mitchell to put the team on his back and win a series?
No.
Hold on, wait. I'm gonna cut in right here. Hold on. First of all, what has Anthony Davis done for any team besides get him into the 8th seed of the playoffs?
He willed him into the A seed.
So with that, and then got DeMarcus Cousins for part of a season, went back out, and now look at where they are. It doesn't even look like they're definitely gonna. I mean, what is it all for?
I just feel like they got a recipe that is conducive to win against a team like Utah.
What?
That's all I'm saying.
Utah's better coached. Their defense is the second highest defense in the league. What recipe is that? Alvin Gentry's playbook?
AD, Anthony Davis
Yeah.
is their
Yes.
recipe.
No,
Yes, they have a better hero.
no.
Okay,
Yeah.
did you guys want me
That's
to
what
say
it is.
that?
That's what.
Did you guys want me to say that?
There you go.
They have
there
a
you
better
go.
hero.
Finally, your narrative reveals itself.
Right.
All right.
And I would say that that the Jazz have a very great villain, probably one of the best paint villains that you can have in a game.
I agree.
So
and
it's gonna be a
not
clash.
only that,
Yeah,
with that,
Hey, look, I'm just like you guys. I'm excited to see
listen,
that match.
not only that, with that
I ain't
second
gonna lie.
defensive rating, listen, I'll tell you this: a hero can only do, a hero can only save a person that's in trouble. All right,
But
all right.
at the end
with
of the
that,
day,
with that second defensive rating, I mean, he can't save his whole team from that. All right.
okay, but are you taking? I'm
Especially
I'm
when-
still taking
especially
Anthony
when they-
Davis offensively over
especially-
Rudy Gobert defensively.
Especially
Right.
when they, especially
Right,
when they,
Schwab.
especially when they set that number 2 defensive rating up around baiting Rajon Rondo to shoot a jump shot. Let's
You're going off
it's going to take
we're playing hypotheticals.
It's going to take
now.
them 2 games to figure that out alone.
Nah,
We're
all right.
playing hypotheticals right
Listen,
now.
very clear.
I wouldn't call that hypothetical. I would call that
A
game plan.
A verified game plan. It's going to take Alvin Gentry at least 2 games to figure that out. All right, let's be very clear.
See, all right, we're gonna.
Look, he's going to bench Rondo game 3 and start Etuan Moore. All right.
I think he's already even starting right now.
We can. I mean, we're gonna move on. We're gonna
I'm
move
pretty
on.
sure he is.
We're gonna move on, but before we do, I also do want to say that
He's gonna start Tim Frazier. All right.
Hey, no joke. Etuan Moore is talking about the Kings right now, but every time the Pelicans play the
man.
Kings, Etuan Moore kills.
Oh yeah, he's
Kings.
always a Kings killer.
Every
Yeah, he
time.
tortures us.
shout out to the ascension of Drew Holiday, and this is me saying this. I was hating on Drew Holiday
Yeah.
all last season.
Right.
Shout out to the ascension of Drew
Time out.
Holiday.
I wouldn't
but
call
you
it
know
an
it's-
ascension.
listen,
I would
he's
call it about like
playing
a
better.
reinsertion. How about that?
Yeah, that's
He's-
a little closer
He's
to it.
he is a legit point guard in this league. He's playing.
He's a combo.
He's a
he's
combo.
playing shooting guard while Rondo's
But
playing point
he's
guard.
playing consistent basketball, and I've seen him put the team on his back in certain moments. where
Listen.
there
He's
needs
a
to be
very
clutch
skilled
work.
player. He's a very skilled player.
All right.
Does he have the will to win? No.
Well, then that's what
I
you.
think
that's
he has
what,
it more than Rubio does.
I would
No. No.
I
Rubio.
think he might have
no.
it more than Donovan Mitchell does.
No.
being a rookie.
No. Rubio.
We don't know what
listen,
Donovan Mitchell's
listen.
about.
We,
Listen,
we,
we
listen,
don't.
We haven't
We
seen.
don't.
We haven't seen
We
Donovan
don't.
Mitchell
We don't.
dribble
But I'll
the
tell you this.
basketball in
But
the
I'll tell you
playoffs,
this.
okay?
I have not seen Drew Holiday a will anything. All right. Will anything.
See, now I
will-
disagree.
he-
I disagree. We
never
agree to
mind.
disagree.
Yeah,
on that.
you stop right there, Swab.
I
We're
was-
gonna leave that out of it. All right.
I was gonna say 'cause I hate him with the hairdo he's got now. I always remember him with the short hair. So I was like, he's willing them dreads or braids, whatever he's got on there right now.
Yeah, you should have just stopped before you even. You should have stopped, Schwab. You had it right. You had it right the
saying.
second time. When you wanted to bloviate on that, you pulled back. You had it right there.
Well, I still have it. I delivered it too.
Yo, where so I mean
Drew Holiday's averaging 19 points a game right now and shooting 53% from the field. That's pretty good. He's averaging 6 assists.
Can we look up Donovan Mitchell's stats real quick?
No.
Well, he's playing better than Drew Holiday.
No. We're not gonna just gloss over that, okay?
What?
You said
No,
how many points?
He's averaging 19 points a game.
All
Yeah,
right,
that's good. Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
really good.
Absolutely,
Okay?
absolutely.
Yeah, it's really
How
good.
many assists?
He's averaging 19 and he's averaging 6 assists a game. He's playing really well.
Playing really good.
All right.
Playing
I
really
mean,
well.
that's all I want to.
Is it enough?
Okay?
Is it enough?
We'll see.
You'll see. All right.
19 what?
19 is 19.1. So he's literally at 19. Now Donovan Mitchell's playing. Donovan Mitchell's having a better season than Drew Holiday. Let's be very clear about that.
Stats wise, not really.
Let's
Well,
hear
where's
him,
Donovan
Schwab.
Mitchell at?
Let's go.
He's
Schwab.
averaging 20 a game, right?
Like Kurt said earlier with the 17 and the 16, it's only 1 point, so it's not that much better. But he's averaging 3 less assists a game than Drew Holiday.
Okay, and how's the team doing? So his
I mean,
role.
they're 4 and 5.
Listen,
they're right
listen,
there,
listen,
half a game apart from each
listen,
other.
listen,
so they're
listen.
pretty much the
Right,
same
right,
so
right,
far.
right. Let's not act like
know what?
Utah.
You're
is
acting
head
like
and
Utah
shoulders better
is-
than New
yeah.
Orleans. All right.
They are.
Hey, listen, no Hesi community.
All right, let's stop for a second.
Hashtag Kurt Kim.
If if
All right.
the Pelicans lost Holiday
Mm.
and the Jazz lost Donovan Mitchell,
Mm-hmm.
who would be in deeper water?
The New Orleans Pelicans.
I disagree. I think the Jazz would be in deeper water if they lost Donovan Mitchell.
And that's my point. Donovan Mitchell makes a bigger impact for his team.
He
than
means
Drew
more.
Holiday
Yeah,
does.
he means more to his team than
He
Drew
might
Holiday.
mean more to the team, but getting them over the hump in a playoff series, I take Drew Holiday
Does
over
his
Donovan Mitchell.
See, I'm not even comparing the two because I don't think that they
The
have
fact
the same
that
role.
the fact that we even think to compare the two is really a testament to
Why not,
Drew
though?
Holiday's lack of ascension.
Well, no, but look, listen,
Lack of separation.
Listen,
Lack
the
of separation.
roles are completely different for those two dudes.
There's nobody on the
No,
Jazz.
no, they're both
There's nobody on the
playing
Jazz.
they're both playing a combo role.
no. Listen,
I know,
Gordon
because
Hayward.
Rubio handles the ball every time.
Listen,
They're both. Donovan Mitchell has points in the game where
Leak.
he runs the offense. They're
Leak.
playing a combo role.
Leak, I see you're trying to steer this narrative to go in your direction.
Donovan Mitchell has been more clutch for his team
I'm
as
gonna
well.
stop you guys right there.
So is De'Aaron Fox.
Listen.
We see where the Kings are at right now.
I'm
Man,
gonna
that's
stop-
two Kings.
I'm gonna
stop you guys right here.
Moving.
I don't even. I don't,
Utah, listen, I'm gonna stop you right there. Utah is
Thank you, Black.
They were in a state of flux, losing Gordon Hayward, and they had a gaping hole open for somebody to come in and be aggressive and have a will to take the keys.
Could have
absolutely.
put Malik Monk in that role, and he might have done the same.
Schwab, that's what I'm getting at. I feel like you could
Now we're creating hypotheticals based
This
on
whole entire segment's hypothetical though, because we don't
What
know
I'm
if
saying
Utah
is-
gonna be playing New Orleans yet.
What I'm saying is he just
True.
happened to be in the right place at the right time, and he happens to be playing up right now. But if Donovan Mitchell was to get hurt, I mean, have we even seen that? That was a hypothetical right there. If he was to get hurt, who's to say Utah still wouldn't be able to maintain?
Listen,
Am I right or wrong?
well, we don't know.
Exactly. So
What we do
Let's
know is
temper our
that what we do know is that Donovan Mitchell is
what's he
playing
gonna
at
do in the playoffs?
He's playing at a higher level than Drew Holiday.
What's he gonna do in the playoffs?
we'll
What do
see.
you expect him to do?
We'll see.
in the playoffs?
Well,
how is he playing at a higher level?
Because he's willing his team more than Drew Holiday is willing his team.
But how can we say that when Drew Holiday is playing with Anthony Davis
Drew Holiday-
and Donovan Mitchell's
They
playing
have the
with
same
Ricky
record.
Rubio
So
and
they have
Rudy
they have the
Gobert?
same stats. If not,
Listen,
Donovan
so-
Mitchell has worse stats.
So Drew Holiday is being carried by Anthony Davis when Donovan Mitchell is carrying a heavier load than what Drew Holiday is.
Well,
they're a position ahead of him.
Let's be very
And
clear.
they have the second highest
if
defensive
Donovan
rating in
Mitchell
the
was
league.
on New Orleans, he'd be getting carried by Anthony Davis.
Well. and look, and where would Drew Holiday? What would Drew Holiday be doing if he was on the? Right.
That's a discussion for
Well-
another episode.
Exactly.
No, listen, because you talk about defense. Drew Holiday has always more been known for his defense than anything else. Correct? As a rookie in Philly,
I wouldn't say that.
he
I wouldn't
was
say
to
that.
me he was
Most
always a
rookies
defender.
that can't.
He was horrible
that can't
on
score
offense
very
back
well or known.
but
for
he was
their
horrible for the
defense.
first couple of years.
Listen, Drew
was
Holiday.
all
Listen,
about
Drew
defense.
Holiday. His last season in Philly, he averaged 19 points a game. This current season in New Orleans, he's averaging 19 points a game. Where is this guy's will to ascend? Where is his
He
will?
was the man on those horrible Philly teams, and he's playing under Anthony Davis now.
Where he's not the man
he's
on a
number
semi-good team.
He's a number 4 option
But
though on this team.
I mean,
Listen, I like Drew Holiday. All right,
And so do I.
So I'm not. So let's not.
but
listen,
we're dogging the guy for
We're
being
not
the beta
dogging him.
to a top 5 player in the NBA.
We're not dogging him. What we're doing is we're simply stating the reality of the situation that Drew Holiday is playing a fiddle to Anthony Davis, which
Well, I
which
think
he's
most
playing
players
well.
would.
He's
Most
playing
players
well.
would.
He's playing well. He's playing well. Let's not dispute that.
Yeah, but he will not be the deciding factor of whether or not his team
But it-
gets over the
And
hump.
this is
Nobody
where the
said-
argument, this is where the
nobody
argument
said
stems
that,
from.
though.
The
Well, I'm
argument,
glad
the
you
argument
didn't.
stemmed from the
That's
Donovan
it.
Mitchell comment, was saying that Donovan Mitchell was more important to his, or no, it was before even that. We were talking about it. I'm still taking Drew Holiday over Donovan Mitchell right now.
That's fine.
I think it's a matter of opinion.
That's cool.
That's fine.
Okay.
What's next?
Hey, yo, how long is it? How long?
We've been going about 2.5
Well, we're not
hours,
done
I
yet.
think.
So All right.
I think we only talk about Denver.
Like,
That's
there's-
about,
like,
wait, you got
We've got some.
we haven't even gone on the
Listen,
Thunder yet.
we've got some people out there.
or the Timberwolves.
Listen, we've got some people out there that are dying for this work. All right, so we're gonna give it to them. All right. So next we have the San Antonio Spurs. We've already bloviated on them.
We're
enough, I'd
over the
say.
Spurs. We've moved on to the Thunder right
All right.
now.
So now we're on the Thunder, and I'll say this to start this segment off. I think Houston has done a very huge disservice to the whole entire Western Conference, if not the league, by not snuffing out Oklahoma City when they had the chance. This reminds me of that story. I don't mean to get biblical with anybody. This reminds me of that story when Pharaoh had sent his minions to kill all the firstborns. That way, a revolt did not happen in the future. That's the same thing that Mike D'Antoni tried to do to OKC, and it was not carried out.
Yeah,
They allowed.
He was hot too.
He knows. Yeah, because he might have to see them. And listen, Russell Westbrook dominating the ball and dominating the pace of the game, doing it at the same level that LeBron James is doing it at. I mean, let's be very clear. He can compete with the best of them on any night, and if his role players are on, then there it is. They're competing with anybody. So for them to be in the playoffs when Houston had a chance to snuff them out, that's a testament to Houston's lack of competitive edge, led by James Harden.
See, come on now.
Because
man.
James
that was
Harden-
one game that didn't matter to Houston.
Well, James Harden.
Where is this
Why
coming
why
from?
didn't it matter?
Hold
Why
on,
didn't
This
it matter?
stemming from you picking the Warriors
Why
as
didn't
your
it matter?
finals
Well,
pick in the West.
No.
Where is this coming
What
from?
Lee's trying to do now is he's trying to create. He's formulating narratives right now.
Absolutely.
Based
As
on
we
what's
all are.
happening to what's happened up to this point.
As
in the
we
season.
all are.
And I know for a fact that part of his narrative is to end OKC now so that we could kind of fast forward the speculation on whether or not Paul George will be in the Lakers.
No,
next year.
that will come into play later on. That will come into play later on. But the fact of the matter is that listen,
am I somewhere am I in the right path?
That survived the second writing of the script.
well, you are.
listen.
Well, you are.
What
But that narrative writes itself.
Well, what
right?
I'm going to say is
The Paul George leaving OKC and going that narrative writes itself. I don't have to create that.
As my dad used to say, hold on to your draws because that's coming. Now, let's be very clear. Who doesn't want to see OKC in the playoffs? Now, let's really think about it.
Every other team who's not OKC in the NBA.
Exactly. But I'm talking about from fans. Who doesn't want to see
well,
Russell
yeah,
Westbrook?
everybody
fans,
wants
we
to
all
see that.
want to see
Carmelo
that.
and
Everybody does.
So, I mean, let's not.
But the fans' perspective has no bearing on what D'Antoni's job is to do in Houston, and that was to put OKC out of its misery, and they didn't do that. That's an indictment on the Houston Rockets because now OKC has a chance.
Time out. Right now, they're still in the 7th spot, tied for the 5th spot, okay? You're talking about this one game. Yes,
Right.
it was the one game that could knock them out.
He wants to also
But they've
blame
already won a
Houston.
game since then that they easily could have lost, or they could have lost a game at the beginning of the year that would have already kicked them out of the playoffs. So we're
Listen,
it's
Schwab,
semantics
listen,
right
listen,
now.
OKC.
Houston just happened to be the squad
He's
that was
trying to
playing
reaffirm-
OKC the other night.
Listen, League
Okay.
is trying to reaffirm.
Technically, they can still be kicked out of the playoffs.
Listen, these two narratives are they still can be. Well, I don't know.
No, look,
They might
can.
be.
You're trying to reaffirm your narrative that Golden State's going to win the final.
I don't need to do that. I don't need to reaffirm
Well, that's
that.
what it sounded like.
I don't need. Well, that's
No,
what
because-
Now you're calling into question the
Nope,
character.
because the
of
number
Houston
one
Rockets
team,
that have
the number
already
one team
clinched.
that does not want to see OKC in these playoffs is the Golden State Warriors. They've won the series. They beat them all
Which
these
is why-
times, and they
which
will
is
be
why
without Steph Curry. So
Which
they
is
are
why
the number
League
one
is
team
hot.
that don't want to see it.
Which is why League is hot
No,
that they didn't snuff
it's-
them out.
it has-
Because Houston has had no problem with them this season, to be fairly honest. To be very, very
Listen,
clear.
so hold on. Let me tell you this. Let me say this. So you're
don't think Houston's
listen.
tripping
Hold
off
on.
OKC,
Listen.
what I'm
I'll tell you
saying.
this. I'll tell you this. What happened to OKC in the regular season? We could honestly say out of any team in the playoffs has less to do with what their future is in the playoffs than any other squad in the NBA.
I don't align with that.
Well,
And
you're a
that goes-
casual.
Well, no, that goes with my narrative that Russell Westbrook is a stat stuffing monster whose output doesn't result in wins. So, I mean, I don't see them. I mean, who are they playing in the first round? Because I don't see them making out of it.
Right now they be playing
If
the
we really
Gold,
wanna
right now they
get
be
into
playing
it.
right now they be playing the Golden State Warriors.
And
The team who they domed the whole entire season,
Listen.
and they won't have Steph.
Listen, if you think that OKC is gonna beat Golden State in the first round, well then I might as well get up and leave right
Without
now.
Steph Curry. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I repeat this correctly? Without Steph Curry. I don't think I said it properly.
No.
Without Steph
Now go ahead, Black.
Curry.
Now go-
and
now go
also,
ahead.
did you see the end of that Houston game, by the
Right.
way? I don't know if you watched that, but Russell Westbrook, and trust me, James Harden is my MVP of the year. Russell Westbrook is my favorite NBA player. So there's a conflict right here. But guess what? Russell Westbrook domed James Harden at the whole last quarter. Barely scored
but,
and lost
like-
the game. Stole the ball from him twice,
Listen.
bullied him and pushed him
Like
around.
you're
So
saying-
guess
like
what?
you're saying, though, Kurt-
pinned his little soft layup, his little flop layup on the backboard as
James,
well.
they've clinched the first seed in the playoffs.
And
You
we
think
all
James
know
Harden's
Russ is
trying to
going to
hurt
show
himself?
out like that.
Who had more to gain from winning that game?
Who had more to
Answer-
gain?
answer my question.
Well, that's debatable.
Absolutely.
Who had
That's
more?
debatable.
How is that debatable?
That's debatable.
Who had more to gain to
That's
There was
debatable.
nothing.
You literally
There was
just
no-
said they're playing.
So
for
they
their
gave them the
basketball
game?
lives. Am I right?
There was
That's debatable.
nothing more
So
the
they gave up
Rockets
the
could
game?
have gained.
I'm not saying.
So it was
that.
a gimme.
yeah.
So they didn't play that hard.
What does Houston gain from winning that game?
By
hurting themselves?
Knocking out one of
Hurting
the toughest
hurting
competitors,
themselves?
knocking
By-
out
by-
the toughest
by
competitors in
knocking
the
out-
whole
No, they don't
NBA.
have to worry about
That
OKC.
wasn't the game they would have knocked them out. See,
That
you're getting
that,
into
that, that
semantics
would have
right
that would have
now.
put OKC into the ninth seed, and they lose the tiebreakers to the bottom four teams in the West.
Yo,
Exactly.
Look, it does Houston. It matters none to Houston whether or not OKC
Yeah,
or
yeah,
Golden
you're-
State win that first round series.
No,
Am I
that's
right or
true.
wrong?
No, he's very true on
He-
that.
uh,
Houston will play whoever comes to their doorstep.
Houston.
They're gonna play 'em.
Well, they have to.
To Houston.
You have to.
To
But
Houston.
that's what we're saying, though.
Listen.
That's what we're saying.
Listen.
Why? What
You
are
have a
worrying
preference
about
of
the
who you
one
do and
team?
you don't want to play.
Listen.
Everybody does,
But
and that's
you're
the
worrying
last
about
team
one team
everybody
when there's
wants to
8
play.
other teams.
Listen,
Yeah,
y'all haven't-
if you have one game to take out that one team that nobody wants to play
But
in the
that
finals,
wasn't the one
Listen,
game,
y'all haven't been
though.
letting
If it was the
me
one
blow
game, we'd be on game 82, and they'd be playing them for a chance to knock them out of the
No,
playoffs.
listen,
Y'all
listen,
There was
haven't-
still 5 games.
Y'all haven't
if you
been
can
letting
knock,
me complete my blow.
yeah, let's
If
not
you-
act like we don't know how the seeding
we
works
don't
here.
have. Look, Houston has nothing to do with OKC's last 2 games against other opponents.
Y'all not
They have nothing to do with it.
listening
What
to
they
my-
do have something to do with is the game that would have knocked them out of the playoffs.
But it wouldn't have knocked them out. It would have put them in a worse position than what they already were.
by the
Which put them
tiebreakers
in the
that
ninth
we.
seed.
That's not knocking them out
That
of the
would have put them in the
playoffs.
ninth. That would have put
Schwab-
them in the ninth
Schwab,
seed.
you're picking-
Schwab.
You heard the part about the
Schwab, you're picking
tiebreakers.
up-
I don't know if you read that article, but
didn't.
by the
He didn't.
You're picking
tiebreakers
the
that they
wrong-
have with all
he
the
didn't.
teams,
He didn't.
like statistically, literally, I think like 2 other teams would have had to lose all the games
I
for them to have any
understand
Schwab, you're
chance to
picking
make
the
it.
wrong battle, and you just need to let me finish my bloviation, okay? Because it really comes down to you questioning. Really, you're questioning the character of Houston when it gets rough.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And
Listen,
also,
hold
no,
on.
no. See,
Absolutely.
See
Go
what
ahead.
I'm
Go ahead. Go
saying?
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Joy,
Rebroviate.
Joy, you asked me, right, Joy?
Go ahead.
Houston does not care who wins that series because it's going to eliminate one of their biggest threats in that series. So if OKC makes the playoffs or not, one of them is going to be gone by that first series anyway if it stays the way it is right now.
Bro,
So listen. will
Houston
you
might
listen-
play OKC
will
in the
you
first
listen
round.
Will you listen to me?
All right.
And Houston would dominate OKC. In
Houston has had no problem with Houston can play Golden State and Houston can play OKC.
The only team
It
that's
doesn't
worried
matter.
about OKC right now is Golden State.
Houston has
And that's just
we want to talk
because
about
they beat them
domination.
3 times in the regular season.
Houston has
regular season don't
domed
mean anything. It's
this
the playoff
season.
episode. Regular season means
How
nothing.
come they domed everything except for
Houston
the
is
last
60
game that they played?
Houston
Well,
has won
well, when it
63.
meant the
Yeah,
most.
because Russell.
Houston
'cause-
has won
yeah.
63 games
Right.
this year.
Right. Well, yeah.
They've already
absolutely.
clinched the playoff
Oh,
spot.
I'm sorry. Didn't the Golden State win 73 games when they didn't win the finals?
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
the final we're talking about, not a first round series.
However you want to slice it, the team that
wait.
you don't want to play is the team that you don't want to
Yeah.
play.
All right, all right.
Everybody got preferences.
You're right about that, Kurt. What happened to Golden State that season? Steph got hurt, right? What were they pushing for? They were pushing for the
that
record.
season
They were pushing for extra wins.
That season,
that was the year.
Did he get hurt that season?
Got hurt.
Yeah, but he
No.
got hurt. He got hurt.
He
in,
hurt
like
his knee that year.
Yeah, but that
Was it that year?
Yeah,
Yes.
no, it was.
He
It
gets
was.
hurt
It was
every
in
year.
the
It's not
second. It was in the
about
second.
arguing.
It was in the second round.
It was
But
first
it was-
round.
pushed
First round
it-
against the Rockets.
They pushed it in the
I thought that
regular.
was the second
First round
round when
against
they
the
were playing
Rockets.
Pushed it in the regular season.
No.
They
now-
they blew
yeah.
their load.
No. This was a contact injury. This was not a
See, they ain't gonna
non-contact
let-
injury.
Y'all ain't listening to me out
That-
there.
Well,
do you
you're
not?
just
Do you
spewing
remember the
nonsense.
injury?
I know. I'm not saying that
Because it wasn't based off of fatigue. It was a physical. He got hit. Gordon Hayward type contact
They
injury.
blew their load in the regular season and went to the playoffs. And by the championship, they were pretty much gassed.
Well, who's more mentally tough out of that Golden State team and out of this Houston Rockets team?
I mean, you could say Golden State. I could say Houston.
You'll say Golden State too. If you had a gun to your head, you say Golden State.
No,
Listen,
hold on. I don't think anything can be said because we haven't seen them in the playoffs.
This is
yet.
assuming that. This is assuming
the
that.
amount of postseason games that year too.
Well, all right. How many teams they played? Well, Mike Conley was hurt that year. Am I right or wrong? Was that the year he was hurt? Didn't CP get hurt when they played them too? So that was the they had the easiest
and
road.
No. That was the first year. That was the
They've had
first
the
year.
easiest
That was the
road
first
in
year
the
they
playoffs
won.
for
That
the
was a
last
separate
3
year.
runs.
That was a
Wait,
separate
but
year.
Well, each year they've had someone that they've played against that was.
But then Steph got hurt by your own admission, so they had an injury too.
And
But
actually,
they still had Klay Thompson,
Hey,
and they still had
and they had
And they still
Dray-
didn't have
a goon
Draymond Green in
named
that
Dray.
one game because he got
and
suspended.
Golden State was actually a part of the toughest Western Conference clash in years with that OKC versus Golden State series
Listen,
that went to 7.
y'all know how I feel.
I know
about
you
Golden
hate
State.
Golden State. I know. But listen, let's be very clear.
I don't love him, but I'm about to
Listen,
sit
I
up
know,
here.
you're not about to blow the game. Listen, Houston.
Yeah, fact of the matter, Houston didn't handle their business. They lost the game,
Yeah.
and Russell Westbrook
listen,
dominated
it
James
wasn't-
Harden.
hey,
And
look,
that's it.
And Houston
It
is,
wasn't their business.
Houston is
It wasn't their business to win.
It wasn't their business.
Houston is in a show improve situation.
Absolutely.
They are not. You cannot. I will not give Houston anything at this point.
The show and prove comes once Saturday starts. When Saturday starts, that's when the show and prove.
Absolutely.
They've shown and
Absolutely.
proved during the season. So I'm
I
not
don't know.
calling into question
Listen,
anything.
they're-
they've done so far.
Houston is in a show improve situation.
Listen, your
Because-
vitriol for OKC. I mean, I'm not going to get into why you feel this way, but that's fine. But what we're not going to do is we're not going to slander Houston as being great pretty much all the way up until now. And they lost to a good team. OKC is a good team.
Yeah.
So let's not act like OKC is, they played against the Suns.
I never acted like that.
Well-
All I'm saying is Houston had a chance to snub OKC before they became grown
they
men,
didn't.
and they didn't. That's
right.
that's an indictment on Mike D'Antoni and James Harden, as far as I'm concerned.
Flat out.
Well, I don't
agree with that either
all.
because OKC is also the prime example of a team that plays up and plays down to their competition.
I'm
So of
surprised
course
you
they're
had
going
that.
to come at a Houston or a Golden State like that.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah,
OKC,
so
OKC
to our point,
notoriously plays up.
a team that they don't want to play because if they play up
That
in
they
the
play up to, but they
postseason,
also
and
lost
we're-
to a Memphis this year and lost
gonna
to
say, and we're-
a Phoenix this
Everybody
year.
loses to Huck teams. What are you talking about?
No.
Everybody loses. The Kings beat everybody.
No.
You're acting, no, they haven't.
Hold on.
And you're
hold on.
acting like this
We
one
beat Golden
game
State.
is the world
Is it an
breaker.
indictment on Houston that they didn't snub or snuff out
Okay.
OKC? Or is it an indictment that OKC is even in this position in the first place when they should be in the top 3 right now?
Both.
It's an indictment on
Is
both.
wait, okay.
It's an indictment on
I'm
both.
hot now.
But
Then it should be an
It's an
indictment on
indictment.
Golden State Warriors for losing
No,
3 out
listen.
of 4 to the Oklahoma State. Or
Listen.
Oklahoma
no,
City.
got Paul George.
no. That's
You
an
got Paul George.
that's an indictment on Kevin Durant because he made an enemy out of Russell Westbrook. All right.
It really is the deep down.
You got
hate
Paul-
right
you
now.
got
There's
Paul
something
George.
else going on.
You got Paul George. You got
doesn't
Carmelo
want to
Anthony.
admit it.
You have
Whoa,
one of the best.
whoa.
See, Schwab don't
that
never let you blow.
Yo,
Melo is
you
a
got-
shell of his former self. Let's be
Schwab
very
don't never
clear.
let you finish a blow.
lightweight shallow.
Exactly, shallow.
All right, man. Anyways, OKC shouldn't even be in this position in the first place.
I agree.
Absolutely.
They should be one of the top 5 teams instead of one of the bottom 5.
They should be at least where Utah is at. They should establish home court
Just
advantage.
the fact that Utah is better than them this year.
Well, Utah's-
is ridiculous.
Shoot, even Blazers, they should be better than Portland. in my
Well, the
opinion.
thing is, Utah's running a system that doesn't put as much weight on one player. OKC is running a system that
Well,
that puts the onus on Russell Westbrook.
Okay,
but
real
Russell
quick.
Westbrook is if Russell Westbrook is to blame in that situation.
Let's ask the question: who you taking then? We could see this as a first round matchup. You taking Utah? Or you taking Oklahoma City?
Anybody, I feel like if
so
OKC plays
technically,
anyone,
I don't have to answer that because that's not what the standings say at this point in time.
It's a playoff episode. That may not be the
Look,
playoff seeding.
anybody-
This could be the playoff seeding. So
anybody-
technically it would be right.
I think things will be a little clearer if it does set into that. I think things will be a little clearer at that point.
So then, why are we doing the episode right now? Why didn't we just wait till the
Listen,
season
well,
was
because-
over then do it?
listen. If OKC plays anybody except for Houston and Golden State, they can get that work. The other team,
If OKC plays
if OKC
anybody
plays
except-
anybody but Houston and Golden State,
Yeah.
then that other team can
gonna
get
get
that
the
work. Let's be very.
You're
clear
saying
about
OKC
that.
will beat anybody except for Houston
Yes,
and Golden State? Yeah,
that's exactly
Well,
what I'm saying.
yeah, absolutely,
So
absolutely,
all right.
absolutely.
All right, so that answers that question. They're beating Utah. They're beating San Antonio.
Right.
Hell,
They're
they're beating
beating Portland.
They're beating Portland.
They're beating.
All right,
I'll say this.
That'll
I'll
be a
I'll
tight-
say this.
that'll be a tight
I'll
one.
say this.
Adam Stevens is making every big man on
I'll say
Portland
this.
his sub.
I'll say this.
Steven
and,
Adams.
and this became a.
What did I say? Adam Stevens.
Listen,
wow,
this
it's
sounded
not
like
even
a
new-
it's
like
not
a
even a
new
real
elite-
name.
sound like a new elite big man in the NBA.
this became apparent. This became apparent last 2 seasons for sure, and then that last game where, like I said, it was an indictment on Mike D'Antoni and James Harden for not closing out Russell Westbrook prior to becoming a full-blown human being this year. I think that Russell Westbrook, the way he plays, the ferociousness and tenacity, he can lead his team against anybody in the NBA on any night. It's just a matter if the role players are going to hit their shots.
Man, but come on, man. Like,
Okay,
look at
but
like,
anybody
look
on
what you
any
just
given
said.
night for a 7-game series.
Look at what you just
Absolutely.
said. Man.
Like you are
Absolutely.
literally
Absolutely.
if ifs and
No,
tips
no,
and ifs
no,
and
no.
buts
How many-
and this and that.
He has
How
the
many
motor.
chips- how many chips?
He has
I
the
mean,
motor.
This is 2018.
He has the
Lee.
motor. Russell Westbrook has the motor to carry a team through a 7-game
Lee,
series
Lee,
as
this
long
is
as his
two-
role players are.
This is 2018, man. How many chip tapes you know are run by a tyrant?
Well, he can.
And
A
let's
di-
look,
a
let's look,
dictatorship.
let's
LeBron
look at
James?
his role players. Let's look at his role players.
Is Westbrook LeBron James?
Yes. He's a 6'3"
They play the
LeBron
exact
James.
same.
He plays the exact same style, and
But that's the thing.
and he's
6'3".
transcendent, just like LeBron James.
He's
is.
6'3",
Yeah,
and he's not a physical. He's not a
a physical
alien.
specimen.
No, he's not an alien.
He's
like
not?
LeBron James is.
He's not.
LeBron James is not only is LeBron James in his position probably the most physically fit. LeBron James is the most physically fit player in the NBA. That being,
if there were-
he can go against a big. He can go against Andre
No,
Drummond or Anthony Davis.
That's not
and he can
physically
equally
fit.
go
That's not
against,
physically fit.
Russell Westbrook.
That's not physically fit.
Russell Westbrook can't go against an Anthony
That's not
Davis.
physically fit. Well, we'll see. We'll see if they match up.
If LeBron James is running in that lane, you think Anthony Davis is stopping him?
Listen, I'm not. Listen, as
We've
far,
seen- we've-
as far
we've
as the
seen
one-on-one,
Russell
as
Westbrook
far
take it in the
as
lane
far
to
as
get
the
that work,
one-on-one matchup, I've seen Russell Westbrook dunk on people that are. I've seen Russell
Look,
Westbrook dunk. I've seen Russell Westbrook dunk on Rudy Gobert. Okay, so
Yeah,
let's not talk.
man.
Let's not talk
Is this a
about.
Russell Westbrook love fest.
Is it a hate fest? For
Yeah,
him?
yes.
All right.
Yes. This season is an indictment on his whole career up until this point. And let's be very clear about that.
Could be
Okay.
the proper alpha this year.
Look, he tries to he tries to apex predator the squad. He's a tyrant. Everyone was walking on eggshells with him
No,
in that
no,
lineup.
they're not. No, they're not.
Including
Listen,
Billy Donovan.
Listen, they're not.
Who cannot handle
Listen, I'll tell you this.
a player of his stature.
Listen, they're not.
Okay?
Listen, I'll tell you this. He took him to the Eastern. He took him to the Western Conference Finals and lost to a 73 team in the closing 5 minutes.
with KD.
Well, with Russell Westbrook leading the charge.
I mean, he choked.
If it wasn't for
he
Russell
choked on a
Westbrook, they would have
73
probably
team.
won.
let's be very
If
clear.
it wasn't for Russell Westbrook, they would have never got there.
See, isn't this the paradox with Russell Westbrook?
and LeBron James.
Hey, look, LeBron James is way more consistent than Russell Westbrook, so let's not get into that. All right?
Oh,
And
is he?
efficient.
I
And efficient.
will agree.
In
Right
the
now,
in
and
the,
efficient.
in the postseason, maybe.
No.
Oh,
right now
LeBron James is a smarter IQ
When's the
player,
last
and
time-
he is way more efficient
When's the
than
last time
Russell
you seen
Westbrook.
Braun go 6 for 28? I've seen Russ do it. at
Leak,
least
Leak,
2 or
you're
3
very
times.
quiet. You're very quiet over there.
Listen, first of all, Bron doesn't have the confidence to keep shooting after going 6 for 28.
And that's an indictment on Russ.
Look, we call it.
He's more confident.
No.
We'll let Blackmo answer that. Talk about having a horrible shooting night and keep shooting. Let's see what your ideology is on that. With your goat. Huh?
Do we call it confidence or do we call it delusion at that point?
Well,
and let's be clear. We can make the let's get into it then. We can make the Kobe Bryant comparison.
We don't have time to get into it right
This
now.
is my last
We're on a
thing.
3-hour
This is
episode
my last
already,
thing.
Kurt.
We're
Definitely on a 3-hour episode right now.
Look, if you love basketball, you're having a great time.
shout out to Marcus.
Is
You're gonna have something to watch all day tomorrow.
Is Sega Jeepus is still with us right now? Is he long gone?
Yeah, Jeep's still with us.
Listen.
attaboy,
I'm gonna
Jeep.
say this.
Shout out to Jeep.
Whatever,
You're a
Jeep.
true soldier. Let's get it.
Listen. We can make the Kobe Bryant comparison, all right? But what if I said, Marcus, you can attest to this as well. What if I said, yeah, he is like Kobe before Pau Gasol got there, when he was shooting his team in and out of games? Yeah. Do you want that as your GOAT? Or do you want somebody that has changed his game and had the ability to involve other people in the system, in the offense, and have them playing at a higher level?
Well,
that is not what Russ does right now.
Well,
Russ stuff.
He averages the most assists in the league.
Well, you said that right after what I just said. Russ stat stuffs.
No, let's be very clear. Russ is a stat stuffer.
I feel like Russ is on the reverse course of Kobe, though. In the beginning of his career, he had to
Here
be
he goes with this Skip Bayless narrative. All right, go ahead.
I'm over it now. Keep moving. I'm not even gonna get into it.
All right, go ahead.
Yo,
go ahead,
hey, look,
Swab, go ahead.
look, this
No,
is
we're
pure
gonna I'm moving it
unadulterated
on if you give it
hoop
for
talk.
me right now.
This
We're
is
gonna
pure
move on with our squad.
unadulterated
Schwab's
playoff talk.
picked for the number 2 in the Western Conference this year, and they're the number 8 spot.
Hey, look, this is the
The
best
team
playoff
that
special.
Tibbs is driving
right
into the
now.
ground,
You ain't getting this
the
nowhere else,
Minnesota
right?
Timberwolves, might miss the playoffs.
This is the number 1 playoff special out right now, okay? Let's just make that known.
Absolutely.
In your own delusional mind.
Absolutely.
Hey.
Listen, Schwab.
Like,
Listen,
what?
you don't listen. Don't go against the culture. All right, that's how you get ousted. All right.
No, that's the prime troll. You go against the culture. You don't want to be the culture vulture.
Well,
Kurt.
On that note, from Sega Jeepus could watch all night.
shout out to Sega.
Shout out to Sega Jeepuses, man.
All right,
And
so-
anybody that's just now tuning in, we're in a very deep conversation about the playoffs coming up next Saturday.
Absolutely. Look, we're going in like
Or
this.
this Saturday.
We're going in like this, and the slots haven't even been solidified as far as the playoff goes. So I gotta say, props to my No Hesi brethren, because this is elite level hoop talk. All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is getting intense.
All right.
And we haven't even gone in on the disappointment that is Minnesota.
And we'll get into that
Schwab.
right now and in the future when we discuss my biggest disappointment in the West. But first, we'll talk about them being in the 8th spot. Schwab, care to bloviate?
There was nothing more. I already bloviated.
Schwab, no, Schwab, you're not out of the hot water yet, okay?
Oh,
Because
no,
you
no, no.
had them-
Let's
you had
be
them
very
picked to
clear.
be number 3
Yeah.
this year.
Tibbs ran them into the ground just like he did
Like normal.
all the Chicago Bulls teams. He literally ran them into the ground, mainly for the fact that a washed-up Derrick Rose is now the backup point guard for this squad. He had to go handpick his guys and everything, and even the fact that this is Taj Gibson's first year on the squad.
Did you not see this at the beginning of the season though? Because you had Minnesota
Right.
in the top 5. In the
Tibbs
top
and
five.
all. Tibbs and all.
But I also thought with the young guys they had, like
You called Tibbs on Minnesota being the
I-
second seed.
I did. With the young guys he had, not the stars, but
shout out to Sega. I know you like that one.
the Gordy Jang,
All right.
the Gordy Jangs, and the Nick Bielitsa, and all these guys. They're
That
not.
was a
Even,
recipe.
Right.
they're not even. They're not even getting playing. They're not even playing that much right now. Where he's running Taj Gibson, Andrew Wiggins, Jimmy Butler when he was playing,
Who is
Karl
also
Anthony
dis-
Towns,
Andrew Wiggins is
Jeff
a
Teague.
disappointment.
He's your god.
Thibs
He's your
likes
maple
a
goat.
7-man rotation, no more than 8-man rotation, and he just dogs them.
I did not think Tibbs. I thought
Hey,
Tibbs
look.
would have learned from his past mistakes.
Look, they almost lost to LA the other night in a game that was very, very important for them.
Right. Absolutely.
That could have determined whether or not they were going to make the playoffs
Right.
or not.
But they,
okay, so then can we hate on the Lakers for not
Listen,
ousting
no.
the Timberwolves in that game?
no, not at all. No, not at all.
Schwab,
Because
I'm not even going to let
listen.
you finish that.
listen,
I'm not even going to let
I'll say this.
I had to throw something out there.
Yeah, Timberwolves were fighting for their lives, and they did what they were supposed to do. When the mid fourth quarter came around, they ended up establishing their separation. I'm more concerned with Jimmy Butler's health for one, because what is Tibbs going to do? Play him 10 minutes a night?
Right.
No, he's going to play him 40.
There's no
All right?
such
They
thing as
are-
a minutes restriction with
They're
Coach
a
Tibbs.
Not at all.
completely different team without him on the floor.
Absolutely.
I mean, not
Well,
Well, he's an
part
all-star.
in part
Well,
because
obviously that. But what I'm saying is
In part
like
because
they
Andrew
should-
And he
Wiggins
should
can't
have been
sing.
an all-star, despite him wanting to play in the game or not.
See, now it doesn't even go to the point that I had. That why would you just go and not play and take up a slot? But we're not even gonna get into that.
Listen, you
We
can go
covered
back.
that on an episode.
You
Yeah.
can go back and check our.
obviously didn't cover it enough.
You can go back and check our all-star bloviation for that. All right.
No, also, I mean, yeah, when he's not playing, you would expect that Andrew Wiggins would step up into that role, especially when he comes out in mid-season talking about how he doesn't think he's a third option.
Mid-season,
But it's
yeah.
like, dog, like no one makes you a third option if you don't want them to.
That's true.
Right? So, like, I mean, the fact that he had a prime opportunity and he essentially Harrison Barnes that opportunity lets me know that, I don't see Jimmy Butler and Cat being, what's going to take you over the hump in the playoffs. I just don't see it.
Well,
Props to them for actually making the playoffs.
well,
I
as
guess.
of now, and they'd be going against OKC or Golden State in the first round.
Houston,
Houston or Golden State.
Yeah, they're a first round exit.
Absolutely. Even if they play, what if they somehow manage to get to the 6th spot and play against the Blazers?
They might could give them
I
some
think
run.
Blazers still win, but they'll definitely give them a run for
That'll
their
be a
money.
tough series.
I think the only team in that top 4 they possibly have a chance of beating is the Utah Jazz. Just because I feel like Minnesota has more talent on their team than the Utah Jazz.
That's slight though, because Utah's won the last couple of matchups they've had pretty much, where they needed those games. So, yeah, they're a disappointment. Cat's playing up. I mean, he's been playing pretty well.
He's been about the only bright spot in the absence. But even then, he wasn't getting the same looks he was getting too. So the numbers.
In my opinion, Taj Gibson is getting entirely too many minutes. And that's solely because he's a familiar face for Tibbs to run into the ground. But I don't know what is going to take for them to be better. And I guess we got to give them props for making the playoffs this year because they hadn't made the playoffs in a while.
If
they're making the playoffs.
I mean, they got 2 all-stars on their team, and they've got a coach who's won.
Well, they
50.
haven't been in the playoffs in how many
Right,
years?
but they've got a coach who's won. That's
Look, they're still not in the playoffs
listen,
yet.
Listen, I'll give the
We still have one more team to talk about.
I'll give the front office props for that, for making the moves. But as far as that team on the court in that locker room for making the playoffs, no. They should have made. If they don't make the playoffs, it's a huge. They're already a disappointment.
Yeah.
If they don't make the playoffs, that is a huge disappointment. You got
Yeah.
2 all-stars on your team. You got a coach. You got a coach who's won Coach of the Year before, and he's got 50. He's multiple 50+ win seasons.
I unfortunately think the league is past his style of coaching by at this point.
Well,
I think
that's
that-
clear to see. They're in the 8th. They're fighting for 8th seed.
And you hear him out there, he's just yelling at his guy,
Losing his voice, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, do we have to talk about Minnesota?
and
much anymore?
remember, Kurt, you can attest to this. I'm on the record with you in conversation, stating that in order for Minnesota to truly elevate out of this bottom pile, they're gonna have to change coaches. They're gonna have to get a new coach because Tom Thibodeau is gonna run Andrew Wiggins. And if they're probably going to get rid of Andrew Wiggins, but he's going to run Karl Anthony Towns into the ground.
Here's the thing, though. Sorry, Kurt. Go ahead.
You can't teach a old Thib Thibs new tricks. That's just what it is. Yeah, we talked about it. If they get rid of the coach, then they have to get rid of the GM, and they kind of need another GM more than they need a coach.
Right.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
Tibbs was the new coach, though, just in this last offseason.
And it was the wrong decision.
Well, I think
He was the new coach and he was the GM, and
I was
that
gonna
was
say
really
that
the
was
problem.
the wrong decision is
Yeah.
to give him that power.
Give him that
because,
much
like
power.
you said, not only do you got to get a new coach now you got to get a competent GM.
Right.
So it's like
Tibbs has never GM'd before,
In
right?
hi- but
I don't
see,
think he's ever
no.
had this much.
So-
Here's the thing, though.
But
In
he had to get a
hindsight,
doc track, right?
in hindsight,
Yeah.
yes, now
Ray
we realize
Allen-
it
Ray
wasn't
Allen
a decision.
discussed face.
But I think we were all praising them giving the keys to Thibodeau to create this
cure-
this nucleus. Obviously, it didn't go well, or not as well as we all thought it would go. I thought, like I said,
I think it's going as I mean, like I know you had higher expectations, but I think it's pretty much going about where we thought it was. I was excited for them to get Tibbs as a coach, but I'm very weary of the whole coach GM thing. I don't like it.
I've been on record as saying that as well.
Yes,
I thought they
so-
would. I will say this. I thought they'd be where Utah is, though, or even where New Orleans is.
technically they still can get to where Utah is in this whole
Allegedly.
situation. Here's the thing: they play at home against the guys who are in the 9
Who's
spot.
the last two?
The Nuggets are there. They play the Nuggets the last game of the season.
Man,
So let's move into the
hold on.
Nuggets.
Shout out
That's
to
a tough
Adam
outfit.
Silver. Shout out to Adam Silver because this is just too good.
Absolutely.
This is just too good. So
The script is writing itself.
Shout out to
Well,
Adam Silver.
okay, but they also play the Grizzlies right before that, so they get a cupcake game.
I don't think there's
Before they
any.
got
Honestly, at this stage
Still,
of the
shout
season,
out-
I don't think there's any cupcakes right now.
Not at all.
Because
Shout
you could take it easy, and somebody could come in and play up and end up beating you.
Yeah, and
Or
cats really are trying to, like the bottom teams, they really are trying to upset and send cats home.
They want to
so.
spoil. Yeah, Kyle Kuzma said it the other day. I'm looking to spoil somebody's playoff chances, and I think
Yeah.
a lot of guys who are not in the playoffs, even the Grizzlies.
And I don't know if the Grizzlies won today, but some of the lineups that they were throwing out there looked pretty.
They did.
They
beat the Pistons by
beat the
like
Pistons,
23.
right.
my man.
Marshawn, Baby Cove.
No. Him too, but light skin rookie.
Dylan Brooks, yeah.
He
Not
looks
a big
nice.
fan.
They have Macklemore out there. He was playing pretty good. He knocked down a couple shots. Marshawn Brooks was getting a lot of tick. They were looking pretty solid out there.
It's a
so I
committee
can
squad.
see them being like tough to
Absolutely.
last game to
But for the record,
that's a
this,
trap game essentially, right?
this is my 8 in the West. I don't think Denver jumps up
Well,
into the next spot.
I wouldn't be mad at if it stayed the way it is right now. I wouldn't be mad at that.
I think the
I
top 8.
think those teams are the
I think
most
those are the
deserving,
8 teams that
probably.
will be in the West. I don't know
Listen.
what order they'll be because, like I said, Minnesota could jump up into the 4th seed by the
You're
end of all
hoping.
of this.
I'm down for a
No, I
spoiler.
didn't really care. There's nothing writing on it.
I'm down for a spoiler.
Listen, we all know you align with Minnesota teams, okay? Let's not act like that's not the case, all
It's
right?
not even why. That would have been the case. I would have picked in the last couple years.
Listen,
I have
don't
one
make
Minnesota team I ride with.
listen, don't make me pull up the James Carl Strunk's IG post with you wearing a Minnesota college jersey, okay? To the hockey game.
College jersey.
To the Minnesota Wild versus San Jose game, okay? Let's not. Okay?
So you're showing you that's
you
ties.
ally
That's
with
ties.
Minnesota,
Yeah,
okay?
that's ties. You have and there's
San Jose is the local team.
And
Let's
not
be
only
very
that,
clear
there's
about that.
image
all right?
documentation of you
I
showing your
don't
ties.
even root for hockey.
Oh, now you're under pressure, and now you're acting like all this is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Yeah,
You have
I don't
an
see
interest.
why-
You have an interest in
of
Minnesota.
course, you're gonna say, who's your handler? All right.
I have
Is
no
it-
interest
who's
in the
the governor of
Timberwolves playing up
Minnesota?
any other
Yo,
year.
shout out to James Carl.
I thought Andrew Wiggins would do better. I thought Jimmy Butler was a great addition. I love Tibbs as the coach, and Karl Anthony Towns is one of the best young players in the league. They had a
All
chance.
facts.
No printer. They could have been in the 3 or the 2 spot, like I said, but they're obviously not.
See, when you start doing that,
They're not. They
you're
were not going to get in the
overbloviating.
3 or the 2
Everyone
spot.
has to make a prediction.
I
Who's he gonna
agree.
beat out? Who are
I
they going to
agree.
beat out?
Listen,
in order to
listen.
get that?
These guys never played together. Okay, they've never been coached by this man. You're talking about the 2 or the 3. Come on.
Listen. You never know what's going to happen. Everybody can. You can make a prediction. Say what you want, what you think might happen. It may or may not come true.
And that's why I
you
said
also
it's,
said
and that's why I
Oklahoma
said it's
City
in,
would be
and
the number 2
listen,
seed in the
listen,
West this
and
year.
that's why I said
And they are fighting for their playoff lives.
You never know what's gonna happen, and that's why I said it's an indictment on Mike D'Antoni and James Harden for not snapping out Russell Westbrook where they had the chance.
I'm done. I'm over it.
Yo, hey man, I hope you guys
Screw
had a
Denver.
Great, I hope you
All
guys
right.
had a great time tonight, man. I did.
Was there anything else that we missed? We went through all the 8 teams.
I think we did miss one thing.
What's
that
that?
No Hesi, I'm proclaiming it now that No Hesi is the GOAT basketball talk show on the internet. Okay? I'm gonna make that clear right now.
On the
and if you're not
internet.
watching, then I don't know what to tell you.
It says more about you than it does about us.
You better get with the program. Who's your handler?
Allegedly.
Hit us up on Twitter. Hit us up on YouTube. Ask us questions. Send us links. Whatever you want. Talk to us. What is
Nah,
it?
man,
Yo.
repost, man.
Listen.
Listen.
I'm gonna be Twitch clipping this episode. There's just too much gold. Y'all, yeah.
Repost, man. For me, at least.
At
If
No
you guys-
Hesi
If you
Hoopcast.
guys like a take, man, repost that and let the people know what we're talking about here.
Find us at No Hesi Hoopcast. At Twitch at No Hesi Hoops. Gentlemen, it was a great night.
Man,
It's
what
an
was it?
indictment on Mike D'Antoni and James
I'm
Harden.
over it. Schwab, Leak, Black Mo. Out.
Peace.